2023 wasn't a good year for the Carolina Panthers, but I'm trying to make 2024 a better one for myself. Get started on your resolutions with Factor so you're ready for the new year. Factor's ready-to-eat meal delivery takes the stress out of meal planning and sets you up for success in the new year. Skip the grocery stores, prep work, and cooking fatigue. Instead, get chef-crafted, dietitian-approved meals delivered right to your door. With over 35 meals to choose from per week, including keto options, calorie smart, vegan plus veggie, and more, plus over 55 weekly add-ons, you'll have a ton of nutritious and flavorful options to kickstart your resolutions. Skip that overpriced takeout trap. Factor is cheaper and way more delicious than takeout. Get chef-crafted, restaurant-quality meals delivered right to your door, and they're ready to heat and eat in just 2 minutes, which means more time for you. Head to factormeals.com/C350 and use the promo code C350 to get 50% off. That's code C350 at factormeals.com/C350 to get 50% off.
In a world where Carolina Panthers fans have an insatiable thirst for Panthers news and opinions, only one podcast roars ferociously. It's the C3 Panthers Podcast.
What's up, Panther fans? It's your boy, Tony Dunn. They call me the Professor. It's Tuesday night. It's the C3 Panthers Podcast, 9 p.m. Follow us on iTunes, TuneIn, Stitcher. Subscribe to the show if you're watching on YouTube. Smash the little bell so you get a notification that we're live whenever we go live on Tuesday night or when we pop in with an extra video. Subscribe to the channel. Go ahead and smash the thumbs up button and let us know that you're in there. Sounding off in the chat room, guys. There's a lot of people there. Cody Lashney, they're here to see you.
What's up, man? It's another Tuesday night. Happy to be on the show. And, dude, as always, you already know our chat room is lit like it always is. We have 10 Tizzy, Underground West, Sarah Taylor, Trill One, Bill Dotrieve, Bat Daddy. I see my mama in the chat. What's up, mama? You know I love you. And, yeah, man, we're going to talk about a lot of things tonight. A little bit of combine stuff, a little bit of cam, a little bit of rebuild. Tony Dunn, ain't nothing to it but to do it, brother. Let's roll.
Tonight's show is episode 5 of the season, Trading Trai, Combating Combine Myths, and Can We Get a Little Commitment? There's lots of news to be talked about. There's rumors that have overtaken the Panthers discussion from the Combine. There's people shooting up the board in the Combine. There's people doing exactly what Cody Lashney said they would do. We're going to break that down, and we've got your calls tonight on the Cat Calls line. The number's 252-228-5098. That's 252-228-5098. Go ahead and get your calls in. We'll get them in tonight if we get them in early enough. There's a lot to be said tonight, and we've got CK here to help us break it all down. How you doing, CK?
Living the dream.
Living the dream. Don't pinch me. Don't pinch me. I don't want to wake up. You can follow CK at Codizzle Allen. We've got the Bat Daddy here too, a.k.a. the Stat Daddy. Greg, how you doing?
Oh, man, I'm doing all right, bud. Did y'all see that I apparently am a ghostwriter now for the Charlotte Observer? There was an article that came out last week. It's crazy, man. I can't believe uncanny how like it was. But
sadly,
other than my work being copied.
Sadly, they're going bankrupt, so you will not get paid. Neither will you for being on this show.
I don't know why you took that job.
All right. We've also got, this is a show by fans for fans, and we've got a big Panther fan here tonight. Brad Dugan, how you doing, man?
Good, man. First time on the show. Let's do it.
All right, Brad, tell us a little bit about yourself. How long you been a Panthers fan?
Since the beginning, man.
Since the beginning.
90.
All right, we also have got somebody who's been around since the beginning. T-Money, a.k.a. Straight Facts. Today is Muhammad. Welcome back to the C3 Panthers Podcast.
What's up, my brother from another mother, Tony Dunn?
I tell you this, is anytime a black man tells me that I got a little brother in me, it makes me feel cool. That's a big compliment. That's a big compliment. All right, welcome back to the show.
Tony?
Bro, you asked T Money. I can't claim it.
Tony just light skinned, you know what I'm saying?
That's exactly right. You know what? We go into Italy, coronavirus and all, going. That ain't swallowing that
too, man. You know how much money you'd be saving if you booked it now?
No, actually, I tell you how much I would not have saved, because I got on the airline. I got on the phone with the airline. And because of the threat level or whatever, because the State Department's freaking people out, I said, all right, well, let me see what I can do. So I called them up, and the guy was like, oh, yeah, we understand. He said, we can help you out. We'll change it. And then he says, well, you got to do it before April 1st. And I was like, well, I can't do it then. I got to do it either this week or on May 9th week. They were going to charge me over $1,000 extra per ticket. I was like, bro.
What?
Sorry.
Let's just stay.
We go. I'm going to go lick the David statue's balls full of coronavirus if I got to save $5,000.
Dude,
all right.
I'm half tempted to book a vacation out there to Italy with the prices I'm seeing on some of these hotels, man.
Yeah, you should. It is a panic that is unsubstantiated. But guys, look, we're here every Tuesday night. We got a lot to talk about. We've got from the combine to trade. Let's start with rumors that come out, and we've got a big panel tonight, so we've got a lot of input going in. We'll move through these topics as fast as we can and get to your calls really quick as we can. The news breaks, or somehow, I won't say news breaks. I don't even know if anything is news or if it's all just people saying stuff now. But now the Panthers are supposedly shopping Trai Turner, 5-time Pro Bowler. And I want to start with T Money on this. Your thoughts on Trai Turner as a player and as a Panther and potentially a trade?
I like Trai Turner as a player and as a personality. I know if I can remember, I think he might have got in trouble with Ron once before with his attitude or something going on. But I think Trai Turner has talent. He's not that old. He's only 25, 26, something like that. So, but, I mean, when you're in rebuild mode, anybody can go if you talking the right picks. that's how it gotta go. If you talking a second or third rounder, something in that area for Trai Turner, gotta do what you gotta do.
All right, Cody, what are you thinking? Thoughts on a Panther team where the line has been the problem for the last 8 years? The one player that his reputation and at least he's probably their best offensive lineman. Let's just put it that. He's on the trade block to only save $3 million. I don't really understand it.
Yeah, I mean, it's especially if we're talking about the prospect of Cam Newton coming back. I don't know why you would be trading your best offensive lineman. Oh, wait a minute. We know exactly why we would do that. It's because we're rebuilding. And this is obvious to anyone that's been paying attention. I think it's more real than it isn't. I still even, to me, if they know Cam Newton has gotten hurt 2 years in a row, and that's what effectively tanked our season. If you're going to tell me that now they're open to trading Trai Turner, that says to me that they're still open to trading Cam Newton and potentially even Christian McCaffrey. I think that's not just me being an overreactor. I think that's just real. I think the Carolina Panthers are putting out feelers everywhere to see what kind of value players like Trai have, like Cam has. I think everyone's going to do their due diligence, and if they determine that they can get a buttload of picks for all these players, it's looking more likely that they're probably going to do that to either move up for a player they want this year or just use it to stockpile players and picks for next year.
CK, is there anything to this story?
Man, it's one of these things where you could go back and forth. I think that I really want to understand what they mean about or how they know about the shopping. Is Carolina sending out feelers? Hey, listen, what would you take for him? And if that's the case, I could understand maybe the concern, but I'm not entirely sure what we're dealing with. I almost want to wonder if this indicates to me that they're taking a left tackle. Now, I know Trai Turner was a guard. I was mentioning it to Cody before. I was thinking maybe they have another idea about what they're going to do at left or at the right guard position, or left guard position. But I don't know, man. That's a lot of speculation at this point, and it's honestly at this point it's exhausting to me to continue to think about what this means or whatnot with then all the articles about Christian McCaffrey and everything. Now that we're talking about a full-on rebuild possibly being in the works, I can't for the life of me see where we're going with it, especially with the fact that Trai Turner is a very affordable Pro Bowler on the roster right now.
Yeah, that to me is the issue here, is that it doesn't make sense. Yeah, but you're right, today. That's a good point, is that goes back to Steve Smith. But we all recognize that turned out to be a bad move, because you ended up having to pay another guy to come in and take the spot, so you really don't save any money. It's almost a directional change when it came, or at least that's what they tried to shop with us to Steve Smith. But in this case, is that really it seems like it would behoove us to do this next year. But I wonder if they're thinking no one wants the guy in his expensive year. If you trade him now, maybe you can pitch it as, hey, you get 1 year at a very reasonable price, and you can continue to work with him on a contract extension if he serves the role. Brad, do you think that Trai Turner, or any thoughts? Well, actually, I want to ask you this, Brad, is that the conversation erupted. I thought it was strange that a lot of people kept saying that Trai Turner, his reputation outweighed his performance. Do you think there's merit to that?
I'm not sure, actually. I mean, it caught me up. It caught me by surprise when the report came out. So I'm just thinking this is the reality of the full rebuild we're going to go under. The two things you need when you do a rebuild: you need assets and you need salary cap space. And I thought we had this capologist guy we hired. It's not going to save us a whole lot of money or help us in the salary cap. So it kind of threw me off a little bit why they were shopping him.
I think it goes to the point that CK had made a little bit, is that, one of the things is we invested in Trai Turner. We had two choices, if you guys remember. We could have paid Trai Turner, or we could have waited a year and paid Andrew Norwell. We went ahead and got Trai Turner. We invested a lot of money on that kind of right side of the line with the idea that you run right more, where that I feel like is what Ron always tried to tell us, is we tend to run right more, so you want to have strong right guard. But I wonder if, and according to Jordan Rodriguez, some of the conjecture surrounding this potential move is that the idea of how you value certain positions, and I think that that's what you're talking about, CK, right? Is that it's a lot easier to replace a guard through free agency, through the draft, at a reasonable price than it is in other places. So maybe you can try to push those resources somewhere else. Is that where you're coming from?
Yeah, I mean that, and I think that, maybe they like what they see. I know it's not as deep of a guard class, but maybe they like what they see, or maybe they like what they see on the roster as a replacement for him. I mean, there could be a multitude of different reasonings behind this. The when I'd be more concerned is if, per sources, they're shopping Christian McCaffrey. That at that point in time, or per source they're shopping Cam Newton. Per source they're Trai Turner is an important part to the offensive line, but I think it's similar to one of the arguments people make about a running back. I think the guard position is replaceable a little bit more efficiently than a left tackle or a quarterback. So I'm still not on the rebuild train yet. I think we're in a reboot slightly, as somebody mentioned earlier, but I don't think rebuild is at this point in time. I don't think it's enough evidence for me to jump on that train.
Greg, go ahead, Greg.
Oh, I was just going to jump in on exactly what y'all were saying. I agree with what Cody says, man. Like, I don't. This is not what I want, but I do believe this is looking every single day more and more towards like a rebuild. And I put this out there earlier on Twitter. I just don't understand. It seems like an overreaction from a bad season last year I mean, you got to think about it. A year and a half ago, when Cam Newton's healthy, we have a Christian McCaffrey in his first real starting year as a running back, a Cam Newton who's playing at an MVP level, and a 6-2 record before Cam Newton gets injured. And then all of a sudden, I mean, so you chalk that year up to the injury. He had to have the surgery. Last year gets injured. I get it, being injury prone, but he's going to be fully healthy. Like, are you rebuilding or not? Is my main thing. I mean, I just don't understand why. It seems like they're pulling the trigger on this. Like, it seems like he's jumping the gun too quickly to do a complete rebuild. But all I know is if he does strip this team down, it really, really hope that he produces something out of her. It's going to be terrible that he stripped my entire team down, and we have nothing to show for it. You know?
Yeah, and I don't want to give.
Not going to immediately in a rebuild, but
I don't want to, guys, give too much attention to the Christian McCaffrey trade rumor, right? I mean, is actually, you know what, we got to give it some attention. Is that really this comes from the idea of this? Is that do you want to get into a position with Christian McCaffrey where you reset the market for a running back? Now, at the end of last season, I was saying let's do it right now, right when Zeke's doing it, right when everybody's doing it. But if you are trying to build a team for sustained success, Cody, what is the feeling when it comes to running backs in that value there?
You mean in this class?
No, as in so you look at this I think that people will say, well, look at the Rams, look at these teams who have sunk money into, or how about this is look at the Steelers who didn't when it came to Le'Veon, right? Is there something to the argument that while Christian McCaffrey is a sensational, he is our best player, he's our best receiver, he's our best player, period, he could bring a lot. And what did we say last week? Lions, number 3. Would you do it, Cody, for the third pick?
Well, again, we gotta be reasonable about it. I don't think that no one in the top 10 is trading their pick for just a running back for Christian McCaffrey on a 2-year deal. I don't think that would happen. I do think so. One, let me start with your original premise. And it's pretty much this, man. Is it incredible to have a player like Christian McCaffrey? Yeah, man, the dude's a beast. I mean, in his third year, he goes for 1,000. Like, there's a reason why not a lot of players have done that. Okay, so Christian is incredible, but you don't need a Christian McCaffrey type of player to be successful in the NFL. I mean, you just don't. Look at Raheem Mostert, who in the playoffs came out of nowhere and had 200 yards, 4 touchdowns, something crazy. I mean, you know, I love Christian McCaffrey, and of course I wanted to be on the team. But if you're rebuilding, dude, I mean, even in this year's class alone, there are serviceable running backs. You don't have to have a Christian McCaffrey. So as much as I would hate to see him go, and I don't want him to go, they would, you know, if they're rebuilding, then it's just one of the most replaceable positions that there is in the NFL. I mean, that's just a fact of the matter. So
I'll interject slightly with this, and the reason that I think that the idea of Christian would be being traded or anything like that would be too far-fetched is they have literally marketed the team. They've taken Cam Newton out of the marketing for the team and put Christian McCaffrey in the center of that marketing. I think the amount of this is a business for these guys, right? Yes, They want a winning team, but the amount of effort and the amount of money they would lose by getting rid of Christian McCaffrey at this point in time is astonishing. It's one of the highest selling jerseys on the in the Panthers locker room right now. And so you're really taking a big risk on letting him walk or trading him or anything like that. I don't think you're going to get nearly the value that you deserve with them with any of a trade at this point in time. But I do think that he offers a lot more for this team, not just because he's a running back, because he is one of the greatest catching, receiving running backs in the history of the NFL. That is where I think that you cannot replace his value, is you're not finding as many running backs who have such a crisp route running ability like Christian McCaffrey. And so I think that is something that you got to keep in mind. It's not just a running back you're trying to replace. It's a running back / slot receiver.
Yeah. And the thing is, too, is don't you have to have some – I get it's a rebuild. Don't you have to have some superstars? You have to have at least some kind of rock to build your foundation around, man. Like, you can't just have a complete team of people you don't know what's going to happen with or that have never been all-star players and expect to win in this league, right? I mean, the only way New England did that, and everybody
has enough time to play around with that, though.
I mean,
he is not one of those coaches that is going to be like Freddie Kitchens. Freddie Kitchens was on the block year one. If he didn't have success, he was out of there. Matt Rule is going to get most, if not all of that 6 years, even if we're not that well. And that's only because you have to look where Tepper came from, is the Steelers. And the Steelers believe in we're going to ride with our coaches, players, come hell and high water. I mean, look how long they were the oldest franchise, and they only had maybe 4 or 5 coaches in their history. Mm-hmm. So Tepper's going to give Rule all the chances in the world to get it together. But what I was saying as far as listening to Smitty, Tony, was part of, I mean, yeah, he came at DJ Moore, but part of what he was saying was maybe Greg Little should be a guard. So if they think
that's exactly
Greg
what I was
Little
saying.
can be a guard and be a right guard, then maybe you would trade Trai Turner if you're looking at tackles and you're going to slide Greg Little to guard.
And
was
also,
that not exactly what I just said, Cody?
And I also do think that we should put out there a reminder that Dennis Daly did play well for a little bit last year. I think they like him. It's also being reported that Greg Van Roten wants to come back to the team, which I'm not as high on. But I mean,
Greg Van Roten is 30 years old, dude. So here's the thing: is that if you somehow find a way to bring Greg Van Roten in for like less than $3 million and you trade Trai Turner, you really have just gotten like a third and a fourth, like this year's third and next year's sixth for nothing. You know what I'm saying? For Greg Van Roten. It seems silly that you would rather have Greg Van Roten on this team than Trai Turner.
Trai Turner can get you more picks than what Greg Van Roten. I don't know if anybody's going to give.
Well, no, as Greg Van Roten is a free agent now, so you're going to have to pay him some money. But you're right. As Trai Turner might be able to get you some picks. And speaking of, I'm going to list these departures, but before we talk about them, I got a comment about Tepper and how some things that my barber actually told me. Or said, and usually he talks all kinds of just wild stuff about the Panthers, but I thought there was some wisdom to it. But departures, we have learned in the last week, the Panthers are not willing to meet James Bradbury's price. There you go. Brandon Herbert, I know he's jumping up and down there. They have decided not to pick up Poe's option. McCoy looks like he's not coming back, and Boston, they are not interested in getting a trade war. But when you put over him, or like a bidding war, but when you put guys like Trai Turner, Cam Newton, even the name Christian McCaffrey potentially in the mindset of trading players, this almost feels like David Tepper is like Carl Icahn taking over a company and selling off its parts. You know what I'm saying? Like a corporate raider who's come in and is just like selling off assets and then just keeping the brand. And what my barber said to me is that if you look at how Tepper's taught the whole time, we look at this as Panther fans, but he is continually the businessman here of the practice field, the new stadium, the Rolling Stones there, the MLS team. And so while we're sitting here looking at this like all our Panthers, he's like trying to build this sports whatever mega company. And maybe that affects, while we're looking short term, he's looking something else. But guys, as we think about that, Any thoughts on those departures? Do they signal a rebuild? Because if you look at our offense, if you said this, if we bring back Cam and he's reasonably healthy, and we have Christian McCaffrey and we have DJ Moore, that's not a rebuild offensively. That's like a pretty good core to build from. The problem, though, is when you look at the defensive side of the ball and factor in the retirement of Luke Kuechly, the exodus of Bradbury, no defensive tackles, no corners. That defense is a mess. You guys go. Cody, you started off. And whoever's playing ping pong in the background, you got to mute your mic while you're not talking.
So, I mean, listen, especially with this draft coming up, again, free agency needs to happen. Because all of this stuff is just merely speculation until we know what the Panthers are going to do with the rest of our money. We have to do something in free agency. So really, I mean, you want to try and formulate a plan. But here's the thing that I haven't really we haven't really talked about enough yet, I don't think, is that, dude, we're going to lose over half of our defensive line this year.
Yeah.
Like we're gonna use Dontari Poe, Gerald McCoy, Vernon Butler's gone, and listen, Vernon Butler was maybe the biggest bust the Panthers have ever drafted. At least he's up there.
No, since you've been watching, yes.
Well, listen,
I'll give you some names that kind of go along with that.
Whatever. Vernon Butler was at least a rotational piece in our defense, and now there's just. I mean, dude, that's what I'm saying. I mean, from a perspective of building the football team for the next year, we're going to have to spend money in free agency to fix it, or we're going to have to spend a lot of draft capital on the defense this year in the draft, and it has to be one or the other. It leaves open the possibilities for players like Derek Brown and Javon Kinlaw in the first round. One of the things that we're going to have to do is have another corner because we're not going to be paying James Bradbury. I don't know, man. There's a lot of holes everywhere. And, I do the draft for drafttech.com. I write about the Panthers. Brand new one tomorrow. Check it out. Shameless plug. But it's hard to really kind of know what direction to move in the draft when we really don't even know who our quarterback is going to be. Like, it's still an open option that we either trade up for one or draft one at 7. I mean, there's so many different possibilities on the table right now. It's just tough to give any kind of indicator as to what direction we're moving and what we might even be intending to do. Because, I mean, if it's full rebuild mode, then everyone kind of has to be on the table. McCaffrey, Turner, whoever. Because you're going to need enough money and draft capital to be able to replace those people. So,
well, we have the most money. We have the most cap space right now that we've had since ever that I can remember.
Here's a question, though. Considering with Phil Snow and all the new defensive coaches we have, is it such a bad thing that we're restarting on defense if we don't know what defense we're running in?
I think that's a good point because I think, is that kind of McCoy is tired, Poe's tired. You know what I mean? They're good players, but they're not great anymore. They're not people you build around. And right now, arguably, the only guy we have is KK, and that's just because we can't probably afford to get rid of him at this point.
No.
Well,
I don't think Poe is that great of a defensive tackle if we're switching back to a 4-3 anyway.
No, he doesn't fit in a 4-3. I think he had his better year last year when we were into 3-4, but we didn't, as a defense, have a better year.
Yeah.
Well,
same way y'all want to pick on him. Same thing with Vernon Butler, really.
Yeah, well, Vernon Butler's just been – he's one of those guys that the only reason Vernon Butler is not Frank Alexander is because he was picked in the first. Frank Alexander, we can go down the list of all the Coney Ely's, of all the guys. Vernon Butler was a rotational player at best. He's been sorry. He just, you know what? He just maybe hasn't had opportunity. Who knows? Who knows if it's the coaching staff? But I do think you bring a good point up is, you know, we really don't know what Phil Snow is thinking about how he wants to attack defenses. Now, there was news that potentially that they were interested in bringing Addison back on a short-term deal, which is not a bad idea for a guy who had 9.5 sacks. You know, and they also met with a guy named Chris Smith, who would be a rotational player, obviously. He's played with the Bengals, drafted by the Jacksonville Jaguars, and spent time with the Browns as well. I'll turn the mic over to the Bat Daddy. You hear these names on defense. If I give you those offensive names, it sounds like we have a core to build around. But like T-Money says, we don't know what this defense is going to look like. And then when you hear those departures, Bradbury, Poe, McCoy, Boston, Kuechly, we don't have anything back there. How can you retool that quickly enough in free agency, or does that set us up for the rebuild?
I honestly don't think you can retool that up in free agency. I mean, if you do, it's going to be years. I mean, it just doesn't make sense to me why you would do a rebuild at this time anyway, because I get what you're saying is you want to get a younger team, have more cap space, more assets, draft, all that great stuff. But no matter what, you always have only a few year window with each player before you're going to have to eventually let them go or pay them. Like, so even if we strip our team down to bare bones right now, you have nothing to build it around, then everybody you're getting on your team right now, in 2 or 3 years, you're going to have to start paying those guys anyway. So why wouldn't you keep the franchise guys you already have and move forward with it? I mean, the departure of these players brings a lot of holes. And you know, let's say I agree with Cody. I 100% think this is going into a rebuild mode. I don't want it to be.
Which one of those defensive guys is a franchise player, though?
Well, we don't have one now at all.
We don't have one.
But I mean, you know, you have at least a few guys on offense. I guess they haven't gotten rid of the guys on offense yet, so I can't. That's speculation. But
I don't think they're going to. The reason why you wouldn't strip the offense is Joe Brady getting a head coaching job in year 2. He ain't gonna be there the whole time. Rule gonna be there.
Exactly what I'm thinking too.
So Joe Brady not gonna let you strip that offense down, but so much is what I feel like.
But what makes you think he's getting? I mean, if we are, I guess it's the point you're making is we're not in a rebuild. So okay, I get it. Yeah, makes sense.
I tell you this,
well, the thing is,
Carl Van
too is
1 second. CK is Carl Van comes in $24.99 strong super bomb chat. Dang.
Oh,
that's a big time support.
Sure.
That's big time love for the show. CK, go ahead and get on that. And when you're done with your point, is there any way we can't pick a defensive player in the first round with this type of roster?
That's that is the big question. But here's my thought: is can you guys I know 49ers are going to be the first team somebody says, but I don't even really ever think they were in a full on rebuild mode like this. They already had a horrible team. They weren't getting, like, there was no getting rid of assets. There was not these crazy big name players traded. They just didn't have big name players. We do. So my thought is, how many teams actually can you recall going full rebuild, trading away their top players for picks, actually were successful?
I can't think of any.
I can't think of none either.
The Jags during their little run in the playoffs.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't even think they did. Who did they have before they got Leonard Fournette and Jalen Ramsey and, you know, obviously
they were never any good.
Yeah, it wasn't that they didn't have great players that they just decided to get rid of, and then all of a sudden they were successful. And even if you want to use that as an example, look where they're at now. One good year, and that's it. And so it was a fluke if you want to look at it from that perspective. You know, and just as so many people may think the 2015 season for us was a fluke, it's a fluke. And so going through a full-on rebuild, getting rid of the people that are going to be making your team recognizable, just doesn't make sense, and it's not a good business decision. I think if anything, you build on what you have now, which is a solid foundation of young players, and that's why I think a full rebuild would be honestly tearing down a pretty decent foundation. You just need to fill
maybe
up these
it's
holes
not a full rebuild. Maybe it's a defensive rebuild.
Yeah, that's what I think. And my counter argument is with that is all those names on that defense. How did that defense look last year?
Yeah.
Oh gosh, they were
not good.
Yeah, they were the worst. I want to stick with. We'll stick with the tank question for one moment. Brad, you've been a Panther fan since the beginning. We are a young team, though, right? And I have said always that because I go to my alma mater for college football, ECU. We have a cool football tradition, but it's kind of spotty at times. Like in what I've seen is that while we've been very good for stretches at times, we have not had the legacy as a program to withstand successive years of shittiness. And then it just plays such a toll. Like if you would have gone to an ECU football game when I was in graduate school, they were knocking down 45,000 people all the time.
Right.
And then now to get 10,000 people in that stadium is tough. Do the Panthers have the legacy, the street cred with the fan base to withstand, that a long-term kind of shittiness? Not long-term, but, 2-3 years of it.
No.
Well, they might not if they get rid of C-Mac, Cam, and Trai Turner. Then nobody's going to come to the Bank of America Stadium.
Yeah, I mean, I saw somebody say this is that they would be more upset if the Panthers just got rid of Cam than they even would be Christian McCaffrey. And you've heard the Chargers be very interested in needing to sell tickets. Shout out to Carl Van's wife, Reese Rose Van. She's a big Panthers fan, and you know what? And she's got the patience of a wonderful woman to deal with Carl Van. Thank you for your support, Carl. And Carl always sends me something on Facebook every now and then that gets me belly giggling in an inappropriate way. All right, so
John Jenkins has a good point. He says, I think it's a restructuring as opposed to a rebuild.
But we can't even get our fan base 100% behind the team.
Oh, dude, that's one of the biggest frustrations. That's one of my biggest frustrations with the organization as a whole. Like when you go to a game, I mean, the amount of people, like if you go to a college game, that's actually a really, like you were talking about, Tony, with a great culture that has everybody bought into what is going on, regardless of whether they're a successful team or not. You have the people that are just die hard, right? They're just die hard. You go there, they have their chance. They have an organized way of actually, like you see the Chiefs with their whole thing. You have the skull chant with the Vikings. I mean, there's just so many of these organizations that have a deep history in these people's lives. The Panthers it does feel like it's just another home game for anybody who comes to Bank of America Stadium. And I think that is something that I will – that's one of the reasons I will cite. Tepper will not want to do a rebuild because he can – I honestly don't think that the organization can actually build it fast enough for him to actually not be completely destroyed by it. It's just
too emotional. I've always felt like they either really, really, really high on people or really, really low. Like cut them right now. Like whether it's coaches, players. Me and Tony know we used to have that little issue where he used to be a little Debbie Downer and getting all certain people. But even with the says, how many people when we was playing well? How many people still hated Mike Shula? How many people still hated Ron Rivera? Like
or Cam Newton when he's the fucking MVP of the league.
Well, you know who that is. That's the F-150 red.
Yeah, but and Scott Fowler.
Dude, Hey, here's the thing. I'll be honest with you. I thought the same thing, but if you go to like Panthers webpage, there is a person of every race, gender, religion who just hates Cam. Like he is a polarizing figure, dude. It's like, as much as I'd love to say, like, that would be my first go to. I'm like, why don't you get your small minded person off of this page and go do something else? But the amount of people, it's honestly, Cam Newton brings a lot of people together in the wrong way.
Cam Newton is the Barack Obama and
for
Donald
Derek
Trump.
Anderson to start over Cam Newton. Remember that?
Oh God! Oh my God!
Yeah.
I can't take it. I can't take it. And it's not even allowed on this show to talk like that.
I think that officially ended. What was it? The game. Cam didn't have his tie, and they started Derek Anderson. He threw like a pick on the first play.
It was in Seattle. Yeah. It was that Seattle game. That's it. Yeah. And what I like about it is that homeboy threw that pick, and Rod was like, "Go ahead, Cam. Yep. Like, go get in there."
Yeah. You've learned your lesson.
He was like, you know what? You know who learned their lesson there? Ron Rivera.
Yeah. You know, you think Panthers fans would learn their lesson every time we've had somebody else in the game outside of Cam Newton? Have we ever been successful? I mean, you can throw in the idea of Kyle Allen having the 4-game win streak that he had against nobody. But Cam Newton has been the only thing that's actually brought success to this on a reoccurring basis since 2011.
Well, this last decade has given us an opportunity to build that football, a sort of a pillar in that football culture. If you think about it, we cultivated some legends in the first decade of our organization, and we cultivated success in this past decade. And Cam's our first superstar, man. And I still say he's the only superstar that Charlotte's ever had. And I know you're going to say Alonzo Mourning and Larry Johnson, but I think Cam is the first mega superstar that the Panthers have had. And we had an opportunity there, and I don't know if we should squander it. I don't know how we can withstand, as a fan base, a lot of a culture of losing. But Darren Gant always says this: is Charlotte is a 9-7 city. Like that's what is that they want a team that's 9-7 every year. They're not going to get too high. They're going to come out there when they're winning. They're not going to come out there when they're losing. And he kind of just says this is the only city that you would be comfortable with like having the Hornets never having a chance. It's just like, we're not the worst team, but we're not ever competitive.
Well, but you gotta earn this shit, man. One of the things that isn't said enough is that Jerry Richardson was the owner of this team for 23 years, and we have the kind of culture that we have. Like, there are moments where you're proud of the Panthers fan base, and then you realize when you've never had a back-to-back winning season, yeah, it's no wonder why your fan base is tepid. And for sports in Charlotte, it doesn't matter if it's the Panthers or the Hornets. Until someone can demonstrate a level of sustained success, you're never going to get the type of fan base that the Chiefs or the Packers or the Steelers
but you know
have.
what? They don't. They've never had sustained. Well, the Steelers have.
I think part of that too is a lot of the older fans still keep a little side eye on the old team, the team with whoever they were a fan of before they were fans.
So, if the Panthers start out 3-0, if they're 3-0 start, they're Panther fans. But if the Panthers are 1-4, all of a sudden they're cheering for the Cowboys.
Pretty much.
Yeah,
because a lot of older people, you hear that. Oh well, I really was a Steelers or Cowboys or Redskins fan, and I kind of watched the Panthers because this is the home team now.
Yeah. Right. And we have a chance to change it with our, kind of now the second generation of Panther fans coming in. I mean, if you think about it, is that Cody is kind of the almost close to a second generation Panther fan.
Yeah.
30. You're 30. I mean, I'm only 30. I'm 38. So it's not that, but it is almost a decade. You know what I'm saying? And that
Well, it's almost half the franchise's life.
Right.
Yeah.
Let's go ahead.
Like me personally, I know nothing else. I was born literally the day after we got the team, so I know nothing else but Panthers.
I know nothing else. I wasn't born the day after, but when I actually was
the day before.
The day before. Mm-hmm. I was, when I was being raised, my mom started dating a guy who had season tickets, and so. We went all the time, and this is literally the only team I've ever had any interest in following. I don't watch college football. I don't watch basketball, baseball, hockey, soccer, nothing. This is literally my entire existence as a sports fan is really wrapped up into the Panthers. So that's why you see that's why the passion in me is so immediate. And sometimes I'll get a little heated about some of these conversations because I just I'm ready for success. We cannot be the only team in the NFC South if the Falcons didn't blow that 28-3 lead to not have a Super Bowl. That would have hurt my soul so much. I don't know if I could have recovered from that.
To be fair, the other teams have been around a lot longer, had a lot more chances. So,
I don't care.
I know.
That's why they're sucking. That's why the
Falcons
suck more than we do forever, because they've never won one and they've been around over twice as long as we have.
Well, I think that kind of exactly what y'all were talking about there just a minute ago. That's a great point. I think that there are a lot of people who are fans of other teams, because you look at the Chiefs, and while they haven't been good in the last 15 years,
they've never. I don't know when have they been good. When were the Chiefs good?
When they had Joe Montana.
That was they made one AFC championship.
Well, what I mean is they've been around
for 4th, 5th, 6th generation Chiefs.
That's the key. The generation, the generation.
Right.
Fans.
So you have people who are 60, 70 years old that have kids and grandkids that they've been pulling for the Chiefs their whole life, and then you have some people for the Panthers fans who know nothing but they don't remember a day when the Panthers weren't a team. So it's a big difference,
Panthers God FSU 23 says Cam made a tweet last night saying he's staying in Charlotte. He's under contract, and calm the noise. He quickly deleted it. We're gonna go to cat call.
Cam's gonna do everything where he doesn't. If he does get traded, one, he's gonna have it where the fan base is still gonna be wishing we had him, and two, he's making sure he's not gonna look like the bad guy. There's not
that's
no
smart.
kind of way you want to say that Cam won out.
Guess where he learned that from? Thomas Davis, Greg Olson.
Yeah. Can I be honest? The problem with that tweet is that he said the reason he's staying in Charlotte is because of his contract. He didn't say I want to be here. He said I'm going to be in Charlotte. I'm still under contract. That means to me that he maybe has no intention of being here after he's not under contract.
I do want to. I think, you guys know how I feel about Cam. Let's go ahead and move on. Let's go ahead and get to the cat calls, because they'll like to take us through some of these talks, and let's see what they got to say tonight. Wait, cannot open this. Why? Why can't you open this file?
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Cody C. from Tennessee. First-time caller, big Panther fan. Been listening to y'all for a while. First time calling in. I just wanted to start a discussion with y'all. I know Cody is the draft guy, so I wanted to give him a little, head scratcher. Do you think the Panthers will end up drafting a wide receiver this year in any round that they choose? Since we only have 5 receivers locked in for next season, or do we target them in the free agency? So, and I can't wait to see what these coaches bring to the running back room. Hopefully they'll get some Jordan Scarlett snaps. I think that's all I got to say. So keep pounding, and I'll listen to y'all's podcast next time. We'll see y'all.
Appreciate it, man.
Thanks for that call.
Yeah, so listen, this is going to be one of the deepest wide receiver classes in maybe the last 15 years. Dude, there are a bunch of freaks in this class. So here are some names that I'll float out that I think would all be in consideration for Carolina, and I think, it's more than likely we're going to draft at least one to be another complementary piece to Samuel and DJ Moore going forward. Denzel Mims, the wide receiver out of Baylor, ran a great time at 6'3", 215 pounds. He ran a low 4.4, and he already went to Baylor, so he already has that Matt Rule connection. Brandon Ayuk from Arizona State. There's even scenarios where a player like, say, T. Higgins, who went to Clemson, who, is kind of being overshadowed by the big three of this class, and that's being Henry Ruggs, Jerry Jeudy, and CeeDee Lamb. So, you just never know. The board is going to move and fall a lot of different directions. So, we might end up in a scenario where T. Higgins or Laviska Shenault is available in the second round. Now, I don't know if we're in a position to even be spending second-round picks on receivers, but, even at the back end of the class, man, Chase Claypool, from Notre Dame, ran a 4.3 something, and he's like 230 something pounds. They were even wondering about maybe moving him to tight end.
That was the defensive. That was like the defensive end or something, right?
No, he's a receiver. He's a receiver from Notre Dame.
They was talking about he might play tight end though.
Yeah, okay. They were saying he might play tight end. There's a lot of different.
Tony told us why T. Higgins talked himself down. Since he just need rest, he don't need to go to the combine.
What? What did I say? I don't even know what you're talking about.
Last week you told us. I already had heard it, but remember T. Higgins was the guy that skipped the combine because he need rest.
Oh, well, he didn't do the workout. He was at the combine, but he didn't. He didn't
participate in the workouts.
Yeah, which, by the way, he was banged up even in the playoffs, so he might not even be ready. So I don't know. We don't know exactly what the situation is. I can tell you this though: T. Higgins would be a pleasure to have on this football team. He would be the big body jump ball receiver that we don't have, and just like he said at the combine. He's not a 50-50 receiver. He's an 80-20 receiver, 80% being he's going to come down with the thing. So,
Alex Stark.
He should have just came up with an injury, though. Don't say I just need rest.
Yeah, it definitely, he definitely took a lot of shit for sure.
Alex Stark says Mims ran a 4.38. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, he did.
I did see this, and I'm going to turn the mic over to T Money after I say this. I saw a tweet from a Jets podcast that said demand for wide receiver is soft in the free agency market, and so what they were talking about is that might actually make it available for them to bring Robbie Anderson back. The reason I'm interested, because we know those Robbie Anderson ties to Matt Rule when he was at Temple. His crazy hair is awesome, but what do you think about the value there at wide receiver in free agency in the drafting money, or in the after watching the combine?
I've definitely been putting the Robbie Anderson connection, saying that we have, I think, an extremely good chance to get Robbie Anderson. He's came out and said he owes most of his success to Matt Rule. He wouldn't be in the NFL without Matt Rule. So I definitely think that would be a possibility. And like Cody was saying, the wide receiving class is just so deep that I feel like as a whole at the combine, I feel like this was probably one of the most athletic combines across the board.
Yeah.
Where to me,
yes, it was.
Where it was like people was just running fast out of nowhere, jumping higher. I don't know what kind of juice they was drinking this year, but I just felt like everybody almost was athletic.
I said on a previous podcast, I think this draft is going to be an all-timer. I think
you said it last week.
A lot of these prospects are freaking good, man. And again, I'll there's not a lot to be hopeful for around the Carolina Panthers nowadays, it seems. But if we do end up staying at 7, we're guaranteed to get a franchise-defining player if we draft well, and if Marty Hurney doesn't completely fuck it up. So.
Man, I would say after watching, just from what you guys have said, I didn't watch a second of the combine other than on Twitter. But
which I don't blame you, and I want to add real quick. They need to move it back to the morning time because they had it in prime time this year. But let me tell you, that's not a prime time event. You're not watching. Not. Yeah, you're not watching football. They're not really competing side by side. I mean, it's something, if you want to have it on your TV early in the morning, that's fine, man. But it's not. You're not watching anything exciting happen. It has this kind of hush.
But
tone.
on Thursday and Friday, I wouldn't mind if it started at noon or 1 or something like that, because then you don't have to be cutting off work. You know what I'm saying? Because you'll have it in the in years past, I'll have it in one window on one of my computer screens, just playing, barely paying attention to it. I don't know, but I think this here. Let's keep going with the calls. Let's just try to power through and see what these guys take us.
What's up, guys? Kyle from VA. Just wondering y'all's thoughts on the combine and the draft. Obviously, Isaiah Simmons was like a damn freak of nature. I would love to have him. I really would. But it's a toss-up, man. If you want to get a franchise left tackle that can actually protect Cam for once in his damn career, or if you want to help the much-needed defense out and get there's not too many people that's going to come out of college like Isaiah Simmons. They're once in a generation, once in a lifetime type players. But after the combine, man, if we're being honest, I know other teams in front of us have different needs, but I don't know if they're looking at it as Isaiah Simmons is just that guy. And do y'all honestly think Isaiah Simmons is going to stay around to the 7th pick? Because I'm going to be honest, after the combine, and I mean, we knew about him thanks to Cody, but everyone knows, the secret's out on Isaiah Simmons now, so, I don't even know if he's going to be around at number 7. And if that's the case, then you go ahead and you get a left tackle from Georgia. No doubt if he's still there. If not, Jeffrey Okudah. I mean, there's a lot of ways you can go in this draft. And this draft is loaded. Absolutely loaded. So, gotta make sure
it's almost like
right, man.
He heard you talking, Cody.
Good players that are going to fit what we're trying to do here in Carolina. If they do that, then we'll be fine. Simple as that. Anyway, guys, can't wait for the show tonight. Keep pounding, man.
Keep pounding. So fantastic call. I mean, listen, I think it's, there's a lot of talk about Isaiah Simmons, and justifiably so. And Tony will be back in a second, and we actually have some videos that we're going to be able to play. But, and I kind of alluded to this earlier, there's just so many options available to us with the 7th pick. So, again, if you want to move in a direction where you're forced to rebuild your defense after letting so many people go, well, then, Javon Kinlaw, who I love, I think is the best defensive tackle prospect in the draft. I think he has a higher ceiling than Derek Brown.
I do too.
Yeah, and but then I want to, and Tony's back, and I want to kind of segue into Isaiah Simmons. And
all right, I'm going to play the 40 time video, right?
Yeah, so let me kind of set this up, and if you could, Tony, I'd like you to play them back to back, the 40 time and then the simulcam, if you will. Right. But I want to kind of lay this out for people. It's very rare that you will ever find yourself in a position to even be within striking distance to draft a player like Isaiah Simmons. We are talking about a player who has A-plus snaps at the linebacker position, at corner, at free safety, at strong safety. I mean, you are talking about a player that has the potential to be one of the most versatile athletes playing football of all time. And and that's a real thing. So, Tony, go ahead and play these clips, and I want to kind of show people what I'm talking about.
Real quick, I'll just say while he's getting that set up, you know how like people say Ray Allen is like Reggie Miller turned up another notch? I feel like Isaiah Simmons is TD turned up another notch.
Normal. If you didn't know, that's not normal.
We'll watch it one more time. Yeah, look at this.
6'3" and change, 238 pounds. Watch him stride that out.
As we know.
All right, and then we'll go to.
There he goes.
439.
All right, here's the simulcam. Here's the simulcam video.
Yeah. Now watch this.
Jalen Ramsey and Derwin James.
Two good ones.
It's Simmons.
Wow.
Yikes.
I bet you I would have liked to seen them.
Saquon, Zeke, Alvin Kamara, and Simmons.
Oh, it keeps going.
Got him right off the jump.
And it
Damn.
is.
He smoked Alvin Kamara.
Okay.
That's freaky.
Alvin Kamara. Yeah, he's trying to slow up the rest of them.
Against
Look who else he smoked.
Pro Bowlers from the National Football Conference. Michael Thomas, Russell Wilson, Christian McCaffrey.
Again, it's over right off the start. Those strides, he's gone.
And it's Isaiah Simmons. Come on.
That's 2 yards.
Come on.
He makes Christian McCaffrey look slow.
If you and compared to Isaiah Simmons, McCaffrey is slow. I mean, it's just, you know, and again, I understand I've watched film, and anybody can go look at highlights of Isaiah Simmons, and you'll be able to see what I'm talking about. But even when you watch film, even the plays that you don't see, he's a factor on every single play. I mean, the dude can run you down. And in a modern NFL where you have Lamar Jackson running a 4-3, carving up defenses on these zone option plays, or on these read option plays, you need to have – I mean, Simmons is quite literally built to shut down players like Lamar Jackson and Deshaun Watson. I mean, his recovery ability is second to none. His arms are, I believe, 80 inch. He has an 80-inch wingspan. So he's going to be able to reach out and engage with those tackles that are trying to block him and be able to disengage with them first. I mean, you can put him at free safety, middle linebacker. I mean, I have no doubt in my mind that you, and I said this in Carl D last week, gave me a bunch of shit for saying it, but you could put Isaiah Simmons on players like Julio Jones and Mike Evans and trust that Isaiah Simmons is fast enough and physical enough to be able to man that part of the field with them.
To clarify, he had a faster 40 than Julio Jones as a FYI. So
yeah, faster 40. He had better measurables and is 20 pounds heavier. So I mean, you're really talking about a different kind of.
The craziest part of even that 40 time is everybody that trained with him. Even I forgot which NFL guy it was that trained with him said he really can run a 4.35.
Derwin James actually went and trained with Isaiah Simmons, and I mean, I'm a Clemson fan. I've been hearing people say this about him forever. That Isaiah Simmons has been digitally timed running a 4.35. I mean, that's bananas. And Derwin James then said that he saw him do it too. So, I mean, you're talking about a player that is physically unlike many players that have come before him. And it's just so funny that in the year when Luke Kuechly retires, we might be able to replace him with Isaiah Simmons. That's unheard of, man.
I kind of agree with the caller, though. And like Trill One has said in the chat room, is that now the Giants are a team that's being linked to Isaiah Simmons. You start to look at those. Yeah, is that I think it would be absurd for him to be there at 7. I think actually The question is going to be at 7 for us is Okudah might be there, and the Brown and the
Okudah now.
Yeah, and and if you're Matt Patricia and you're trying to build, Matt Patricia's a defensive coach in Detroit. Are you going to let him slip past 3? And then are you seriously, if you're Dave Gettleman, I know you like the Hog Mollies, but they've got, well, I don't know what they got, actually. I thought they had they traded for Leonard Williams. They might be trying to keep him. I don't know if they are. But how can he pass that up after seeing what Luke Kuechly did?
But the Giants
I thought they were going tackle, but now I don't know.
But the Giants said they're open for business at 4 to trade down.
Right.
And that's the point too. A lot that 3 and 4 spot, the Lions and the Giants. You're talking about. Those are the 2 teams that are more likely to trade down if another team feels like they want a quarterback. So,
which is why I'm hoping these teams trade up and it kind of pushes these defensive players down to us.
But I will say, just being a realist here, if you look at it, when Dave Gettleman drafted Saquon Barkley, he had pretty much said that he wasn't answering phone calls. That they had the number 2 pick, and teams probably would have been willing to trade up to number 2 for Sam Darnold. And like, no, we like our guy. We're gonna stay right here and take our player. So,
but
if any player would do it, it would be the Giants.
But here, think about this. One thing though, if you go back to what Gettleman said about Saquon Barkley, is he talked the language about Saquon Barkley that you guys are talking about Isaiah Simmons. So, you know what I'm saying, is he's not scared to say this, is I got a guy who is a fucking stud, and I am not picking otherwise. Like, I don't care who's there.
But nothing. I just feel like he's the worst at that decision-making to me. You don't trade down to let somebody take Sam Darnold where you still could have got Saquon. And then you don't trade down for Daniel Jones.
Yeah.
You still got Daniel Jones later than you got him.
Ron Rivera has done everything to make us believe he is an idiot.
Yeah.
Not Ron Rivera, Dave Gettleman, sorry. Like, I mean, it just is, and I was the biggest Dave Gettleman supporter, but you're right. We were on the live, we do the draft party every year, and there was a Jets guy on, and, the Jets hate the Giants, and he laughed like... I felt like, do you remember when Jim Carrey laughed in that guy's face on Dumb and Dumber when he was dying after he ate those hot peppers? Like, he laughed like that just naturally on the podcast when they announced Daniel Jones' name there. So here is who did Okudah did Okudah fall and Simmons rise?
Well, it's
I
not
think
that
he ran a little bit slower than people expected.
Yeah, so he ran a 4, I believe it was a 4.5, a low 4.5. I can look at it. But it's
his hip movement, dude, is so sick.
No, it is, and if you look at
ran a 4.48.
Yeah, okay, so that's not blazing. They expected him to run. They expected him to run a little bit faster. But then he landed on his neck wrong, and he wasn't able to continue all the drills. So Deion Sanders actually had to go and take him aside and shut him down and say, "Hey, man, it ain't worth it. Like if you landed on your neck, dude, you're losing money the more you're out here working out looking like it's not looking good, So." I mean, but even still, dude, make no doubt about it. If Jeffrey Okudah is on this football team, he's instantly the best prospect that the Panthers have ever had playing the position.
Wow.
Bar none, far and away. I mean, still,
absolutely.
Yeah, I don't care about the numbers. I value film over it all. When you look at what Jeffrey Okudah does on film, and the way that he's able to stay in the hip pocket of receivers and track the ball. He's long. He has incredible instincts. I mean, it would be an infinite upgrade over James Bradbury.
All right, the numbers.
I got another Ohio State corner in my mind.
Oh, nah, he ain't even. All right, we'll see. All right, the numbers 252-228-5098.
Hey, guys, I just want to take a minute to ask you a question about what you think about Super Bowl 50.
Cover
I really
me,
think
fellas.
that game is fixed, 100%. Strictly for Peyton Manning, last game, refereed by Clete Blakeman, man from Omaha, Nebraska. Hakeem Talib was lined up offsides multiple times. Jericho Cotchery caught the ball, which the next play led to the strip sack fumble by Von Miller, where he made illegal contact with Cam Newton's helmet. Pass interference was constant with the Broncos defense the entire game, especially on Roby, especially with 10 minutes to go in the fourth quarter. Clear pass interference, no flag. Referees had no intention of giving Carolina any chance in that football game. Remember, we had to use both our challenges in the first quarter when Peyton Manning's knee clearly hit the ground. We had to challenge to save 7 yards when he got up and scrambled and ran with the ball. That game was hand-delivered to the Denver Broncos by
Are we in
Clete
2016?
100%. Vegas was in on it. It is what it is. I just thought I would call, see what you guys thought about it. I know it's 5 years later, but I'm still not over it. Field conditions were awful. It just really seemed like the NFL wanted Peyton Manning to walk away with his second Super Bowl trophy. They did not want him going 1-3 in the Super Bowl, losing to a arrogant African-American quarterback.
The NFL skipped Super Bowl 50 in my mind, in my memory.
Yeah, what?
49 to 51.
Yeah, what
Did they actually? It's like the 13th floor of a hotel. It didn't exist.
Yeah, what is this Super Bowl 50 you were talking about? I have no recollection of it.
Yeah, y'all know my narrative with this kind of stuff, man, is that I believe that this is a television show and that while it's sports, you can't control everything. There are things that influence what happens. I mean, you can't tell me that the way the Packers had the calls go their way this year, that the NFL didn't want the Packers and the Chiefs to be in this Super Bowl this year. I mean, you know, Patrick Mahomes and Aaron Rodgers on the same insurance commercial. Like, it's right there in front of your face. They're going to do everything they can. And I believe, I don't think the game was necessarily fixed, but I think there's always narrative the NFL tries to push for who they want to be, you know, the champions, you know, who they want the face of the NFL to be. So,
well, yeah, there's certain aspects.
Who wins the game? I think Super Bowl MVP is like that because I still think Damian Williams should have won this past Super Bowl. I feel like Seattle choosing to let Russell Wilson throw rather than giving
the ball
to Marshawn Lynch, the hood dude from Oakland that don't want to talk to the media. I think that was a conscious
who's
decision.
now the speaker for Princeton's senior class. Did y'all see that?
Who, Marshawn?
Yeah, Marshawn Lynch is going to speak. There's a story going around today. Princeton graduates or seniors are upset that Marshawn's their speaker. And then there's this, like, what I love about this is, first of all, I can kind of understand that. Like, if you're a parent that just paid, like, $4 million for your kid to go to Princeton or whatever, or you had to pay $4 million for him to get into Princeton, and then you're getting a guy in there who, I don't know, I'm not trying to knock him, but, like, I mean, you know, I mean, I don't know what, I'm not saying anything, I'm just saying this.
He's going to teach them how to say they chickens.
Right. But, so then what's funny, though, is that Jonathan Jones, former writer for the Charlotte Observer, former Sports Illustrated writer, and now with CBS HQ, I've just interacted with him on the internet. He went to Carolina, and he's been an uppity motherfucker the whole time. And now he said this today. He was like, these kids would learn more from 1 hour from Marshawn Lynch about life than they would an entire year at Princeton. And I was like, man, shut the fuck up. You were saying that. You would not have been saying that shit when you were at Carolina, acting like you were at a big school, all of this, with your fake ass classes. He used to talk shit about ECU.
Whoa. Let's not discuss.
He used to talk shit about ECU all the time. All right. 252-228-5098. When it comes to the Super Bowl 50, yeah, Fix was in and all of that, but do not forget Graham Gano doinked it off the goalpost, 44 yards, would have brought us within 3, changed that game entirely. Next call.
That's another person like I talked about, like we were talking about earlier.
I hate Graham Gano. Hate that dude.
Yeah, exactly. We can't even get behind our kicker, man.
That's right. What, did you like Graham Gano? Tell me that. Did you like Graham Gano?
I like.
And if you say New York Giants, oh, shut up.
I knew that was gonna buggle.
God. All right, next call.
Tanner up in Elkin. So it just came to my attention that Greg Zuerlein is a free agent. I want to know what you guys think, if maybe the Panthers should pursue him. I know that they just re-signed Joey Sly, but why not go after a sure thing in the kicker?
All right. Speaking of kickers right there.
Are we just like psychics? I mean, at this point, every call is like this. It was the same way last week, where we literally are talking about a subject, and the next call is right about that.
CK, am I too hard on Graham Gano, and am I too forgiving of Joey Sly?
So to address your first question, are you too hard on Graham Gano? That's what she said.
Thank you, Michael Scott.
No, I at this point, I think I've liked Graham Gano as a person, but as a kicker, he has time and again failed outside of a meaningless 63-yarder that went viral with that Titanic song. But I think you got to go youth at this point. I think Joey Sly has proven plenty to show that he's able to actually hold down the fort. He made some mistakes, but all last year he was one of the best. He had the best touchback percentage. He has the best percentage of long kicks in the NFL, or at least close to the top. He had a couple of struggles with some short kicks, but all in all, he was a pretty consistent kicker outside of like one game where he had like 2 or 3 misses.
I need you to make the ones you're supposed to make. The long ones is nice, but I feel like my offense, especially with Cam, should be good enough to get us closer.
Well, then why are you all about Graham Gano? Because he missed all those. Here, let me tell you these numbers for Graham Gano. He was 4 for 4.
I don't think Graham Gano's ever had lower than like 85%. Y'all just...
well, that's wrong. That's wrong. 2011 with the Washington Redskins, he was 75.6. Yeah, he was 81. Here it is. Here's his percentage. 81.8, 88.9, 82.9, 83.3, 78.9. 2016, 78. He was 83% in 2015. He was the worst player on the Panthers roster in 2015.
I didn't like whoever was out there.
Philly Brown had a better year than Graham Gano. That didn't get no laughs, no nothing. Oh gosh.
What was Joey Sly's kick percentage last year?
All right, I'm looking it up.
You're also going to be basing this against an offense that couldn't get in the red zone.
And a 1-year kicker, he was 78%.
And Graham's fault it's not his fault. It's just that we always compared him. We always kept a side eye on Harrison Buck,
which was rightful.
Yeah,
it's
and
not
justified.
his fault they chose him over Harrison.
It's our
He didn't
fault.
make that decision.
It's our fault.
Well,
Dave Gettleman,
just-
you sissy.
Classic Ron Rivera sticking with a veteran.
Dave Gettleman would rather have pole than butt.
Well, hey, they asked about Greg Zuerlein on the call though, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
Let me
he's too
see
injury
this.
prone.
Here, let me see. Greg Zuerlein. Let me see what his stats are on Pro Football Reference. Greg.
Oh, he's a great
He
kicker.
is one of the best kickers, but yeah.
But he's too
He's
injury
not
prone.
that old.
Well, didn't-
He's not that old.
Didn't he get hurt last year?
He did
Yeah.
get hurt last year and the year before that because he was my fantasy kicker both years, and
Oh.
I know, I know, like he.
How about this? Is it turns out he's not that good.
He's better than average though, right? He's not
He was
bad.
good. He was 90. He was 90. Yeah, is that he's been good since 2016. He was in 2015. He was 66%. 2016 86, 2017 95, 2018 87, 2019 72, but only 24 field goals. His most he's ever made in a season was 38, which was his best year, 2017.
Because he always misses games. Bad Daddy was right.
All right.
Yeah. Well, and you know the thing is too is I really do think Joey Sly had his problems last year. He's got the biggest leg in the NFL. He can kick the ball
that's
further.
Yeah.
I think we're in. If we keep him on and we end up like making sure he's our kicker next year, I wouldn't be surprised if he comes close to breaking the record for the longest field goal.
100% agree.
We were
just
watching
work
him when we went to the
on his accuracy,
games.
man.
He was drilling them from so far. It wasn't even funny, man. It was it was actually pretty insane.
He almost does better from far away.
He does.
Yeah,
he does. If you look at
He's
his
a power
stats,
kicker,
he's a much better long kicker than he is than when he gets to the short term or the short distance rather. So no, I agree. But my feeling with Graham Gano, what is that?
Tiger Woods after the wreck.
Hey, but Tiger Woods got back to being a good golfer too. So let's go ahead and just assume that Joey Sly has
After
that
what?
capability as well.
What did I say?
Yeah, after
I
what?
say it's Tiger Woods after the wreck.
What wreck?
When he wrecked his car and he thought he was in California.
You mean when his wife was? Oh no, the one where his wife.
His ex was chasing with a golf club.
Yeah. All right. You're wrong on that. You know why? Because it wasn't that wreck that was the problem. It was the no more hookers. That was the problem for Tiger Woods.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, I swear I said this is them hookers made his backfield great. Like he
How
was.
did he not have one pretty one though? You're Tiger Woods.
Because them girls were doing things that you don't know about, T-Money, to him.
Besides that,
They hit that mug hit his chakra. She was like this. This is what your chakra feels like. All right. here's your next call.
They were
D3. Super pumped about the show tonight. This is Simple Southern Custom.
What's
I have
up?
a few comments. Super pumped about the draft coming up. You know, we make all these comparisons about Derek Brown and Javon Kinlaw with talking about Derek Brown's a more polished player and Kinlaw has a super high ceiling. I think we can have the same conversation about Andrew Thomas and Mekhi Becton. I mean, good.
Oh, good
See a
question.
boy that's 6'7", 360 pounds, almost run in the forest. Whew. Impressive. His ceiling's so high, and with Trai Turner on the way out, potentially, I don't think O-line's a bad deal. I mean, you got those four players, and then you look at Isaiah Simmons, any of those five would be awesome. And there's also Oren Sherbert from Cleveland that they're talking about, the linebacker, but I mean, he's been called the mad scientist of that defense, the quarterback of the defense. It sounds familiar with Luke leaving, but, you know, I want to get your thoughts on that. And I had one other thing. Let's go ahead and pay McCaffrey. Go ahead and pay him. He's in a not a wonderful situation being the transcendent player that he is. Go ahead and pay the dude. Let him make his money, and by the time this rebuild, retool, whatever you want to call it, is to a good point, you're not giving the farm away from McCaffrey. He's made his money. He still respects the Panthers. We need to do right by this guy because we've done wrong by so many Charlotte players. I don't know. Let me get your thoughts.
Thanks.
Thanks, T3.
Cody, you're the draft aficionado. I do have concerns. Last week we talked about, was it Orlando Brown? Is that his name? And how it's like how terrible his stats, his combine was, but while he played well in the NFL, is there any concern that while these were names that were on your radar of guys, are there any concern that the combine could overly influence your beliefs concerning these offensive tackles?
Well, yes and no. I mean, one of the things to remember is offensive tackles normally don't test well. I mean, they're not the most athletic guy on the football team. I mean, that's just kind of a given. But one of the things that I like about that call is that he put forth this kind of conundrum that I've been having when evaluating talent, specifically these upper echelon first-round talents. And that's, what do you value more, the floor or the ceiling? So, for example, I've been talking about, I believe Javon Kinlaw, I would want to take a bet, a more long-term bet on him than I would Derek Brown. Because Javon Kinlaw, he didn't perform at the combine, but he has this crazy length and strength and is built like the Juggernaut, dude. He reminds me of the Juggernaut from X-Men, okay? But I think Derek Brown is probably a more solid player right now. So our caller kind of poses the opposite question to me. I've been higher on Andrew Thomas because I believe he is a better tackle prospect right now, and he has been more productive in the SEC against better pass rushers. Mm-hmm. With that said, Tony, we need to play that other clip for the good people watching. And just watch and listen to this clip, and it'll kind of explain what we're dealing with and what we're working with Mekhi Becton.
You can't get through him. And he uses his length in pass pro. You can't get around him. And in the
that all sounds good.
Avalanche. When he down blocks, he just takes everybody with him, and he's moving pretty good.
Oh my word!
Pretty good.
Running that fast. Hold on a second. Did we just watch somebody who's 364 pounds, the heaviest individual at the 2020 Scouting Combine?
It's insane.
Did we just see him run 5-1-1?
When he was training in Texas, Taron Armstead went down there to visit, and when he walked in the room and saw him, he said, "What is?"
So okay,
freak. That's a freak, dude.
Yeah, you have never seen. Dude, I told this to Tony before the show. That guy is the Mountain from Game of Thrones. Okay, that dude is a beast. He is 6'7", 300.
Look at those thighs.
Pounds.
Yeah. They're not even running side to side. They're like rubbing against each other, moving sideways.
you could have started a fire with those things.
Let's continue this conversation, right? Tyler Lovato in the chat says, I don't know why, but Mekhi Becton scares me as a prospect. He's the fourth tackle on my board. Now, I agree with Tyler Lovato. He is also the fourth tackle on my board. I have both Jedrick Wills and Tristan Wirfs ranked higher than Mekhi Becton. But where this question comes in is a lot of what you see from Mekhi Becton is they didn't throw the football a lot, so there weren't a whole lot of true pass sets for you to be able to grade when it came to Mekhi Becton. And when you did have to do that, dude, he's just so big and strong and physical that he didn't have to rely on technique to beat those dudes. He was just able to bully them and throw them around and put them in the ground. Now, there is a case to be made that maybe if you put a nice, fresh coat of polish on Mekhi Becton, dude, maybe he's the best offensive tackle prospect that you've ever seen. You know, I mean, that dude running that fast, he measured well, he's agile.
What's his technique like? What's his technique like?
Not great. And I mean, like I said, and I don't even blame him for it not being that great, because Becton is so imposing that he doesn't have to have perfect fundamentals for him to just bully you over and knock you into the ground. His feet are not the best, but it's more of a positioning thing, and I've never seen anyone beat him on a bull rush. I mean, the dude is a monster. If you wanted to run the football, there might not be a better offensive line player in the entire draft than Becton. But again, it comes down to this question on what do you value more?
Can we afford
The
to
left
pick,
tackle.
Can we afford to pick a offensive player with this defense though?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean we're gonna have a few picks. We'll be able
to do free agency too.
Yeah, free agency. We'll be able to spend those picks
Right.
in other areas.
So don't be hijacked. Don't be handcuffed by that. Bill Daughtry says that I feel like I'm watching an AKC Best in show how they whispered while he was like, you can't get around.
Dude, but look, that's what I said earlier, man. It's very much this golfing kind of vibe where everyone's all hush hush and quiet. And dude, in the next few years, they're about to make the combine a shit show, dude. It's gonna be it'll be all the bells and whistles without any of the substance. People don't even remember that the combine is mainly for the medicals and the team interviews that players do with teams. I mean, the
No, it's not. No, it's not. Not because of analytic worlds, man. The analytics world has told us that these statistics, if you put them together in that spider chart, statistically you can draft people no matter what.
One of the reasons that it is a good thing is if you listen to Matt Rule and the players that he values, it's the more athletically gifted kind of players. So from a testing perspective, I think that information will be useful to Matt Rule going forward as they narrow down the kind of players that they're wanting to fill out the roster with. But other than that, the game film matters more than combine testing. And as long as you pass your medicals, I mean, unless you bomb the combine, I mean, really, that could happen where it tanks the player's value. But man,
it's easier. It seems like players climb in the combine like that you didn't know, and players that you thought are really good
stocks go up.
fall. Yeah, but the people's stock that goes up
was a good person to say that his stock dropped once he did really bad at the combine.
Yeah, and by the way, I'll even say undeservingly so. I liked.
It was so bad though. He looked like a big bowl of Jello rolling down. So you're over here gushing about Becton. You're gushing about Tris Wharfs and all this. He was the opposite of all that. Like he couldn't do anything.
But to answer Cody's question, I feel like when it comes to offensive tackle, I value more your floor than your ceiling because I can't have my quarterback out there dying while you waiting to hit your ceiling.
Right. Mm-hmm. I agree.
Defensive tackle, I can wait on you for a year or two to get it together to be better. Like you can wait on Kinlaw to improve and be better than Derek Brown at some point in the next couple of years. But if you do that with your tackle, like I can't afford to be waiting on Benton to hit his ceiling and Cam get put out for the year.
Well, you can if you're trying to get Trevor Lawrence.
I don't like Trevor Lawrence, so I would never try to do that.
Well, let me ask you guys too. Is Cody? You said
I know
that
Cody about to get the evil look.
Hey,
Cody,
man, you're entitled to your opinion. You're allowed to be wrong if you want to be. It's okay.
Cody, I don't know anything about this offensive tackle you were talking about, but based on what you were just saying, he doesn't sound like a guy that I would want to draft. He's not a long-term type player because what it sounds like you were saying to me is he's not really good at technique. I mean, which to me means he probably doesn't have the fundamentals very well. So if you take somebody who's just physically dominating, that fades. Like that fades, and there's ways around that.
Right.
Yeah, that's true. You can develop skill.
And the question, it's not necessarily that he's bad at it, is that he hasn't had to do it a lot. So if you don't have the repetitions doing it, you're not going to be as good at it. Now, it might be once it gets into the NFL, gets in the NFL strength and conditioning program, NFL offensive line coaches, and all this good jazz. And even in preparing for the combine, I mean, the types of drills and things that they do, it's all about being able to do both things, run, block, and pass protect in the NFL. But he just hasn't had to do a lot of it. So right now, that's why I agree with what Team
How old is he? I'm trying to Google it. Is that he's only a junior in college. So that's cool.
Yeah, he's like 20.
Yeah. Listen, wait, hold on. Hold on 1 second though. Greg, to your point, and this is what I think is this dude's 6'7", 364 pounds, and he ran a 5'1". You can't teach that.
No.
You can't.
That's how some coaches feel. And that's why some players shoot up in the combine. Which, I mean, we could be one of those teams because you got to remember Matt Rule has experience being an offensive line coach. So he might say,
that's true.
Hey, I can teach him the technique because he's such a physically imposing player that I can teach him the technique to where he will be a great tackle.
And the other offensive lineman that had a really good combine was Tristan Wirfs from Iowa.
Yeah. That's true.
Yeah,
Cody, tell us about him real quick, Cody. He's by the way, Becton is 20 years old. He's 20.
Yeah. Yeah, so
imagine if you could shape him in a year or two and he was here till he was 32.
But if he's that big, is he going to have weight issues?
But he is 6'7" though. So like you can only be so slim at 6'7".
Yeah, but what if 360 something turns into 420 something?
We don't want him to get as big as Kelvin Benjamin, guys.
Fact.
Right. Yeah, right. We don't want to get
really.
that big. But so I think these are all really interesting kind of ideas that we're talking about, because I mean, if you're a team that does decide to take a bet on Becton, and he does end up being this once in a lifetime tackle prospect, well then you can say, yeah, you should have betted on the upside. But listen, this is what I'll say. If you need an offensive tackle, this is the class to grab one. This is a crazy offensive tackle class. Tristan Wirfs, I'm so impressed with this dude. Every time I watch film, I'm like, well, damn, is he the number one tackle? Because he might be, man. And listen, the dude is 6'5", 320 pounds, 34-inch arms, which is right where you want him to be. 10-inch hands. The dude ran a 4.85 40-yard dash at 320 pounds. He bench pressed 24 times, had a 36.5-inch vertical jump, a 3-cone drill of 7.65. I mean, dude, this is an athlete that you really don't see a whole lot at the offensive tackle position. The dude's incredible. All these people saying that she should be at guard, I just don't understand that. It's so hard to play tackle in the NFL. If you can find a player to play tackle and do it well, then you need to let them do it, man. Let them have the benefit.
Tackles are always getting beat because they fear speed, right? So these big boys, they fear speed, so they anticipate that outside move. And what these edge rushers do to these guys, and we've seen every left tackle for the Carolina Panthers since Jordan Gross, this has been the problem, is because they can get beat. They're vulnerable on that outside because that first step. Look, Matt Khalil used to jump like a half damn second before, and they didn't even call it. And he was still getting beat like a damn drum. But then those guys do that 1 or 2 times, and they set him up. And then they go out, in. And then they start beating their asses inside. So
That's because the defensive end got way more athletic faster than the offensive tackles did.
Yeah, and now you're seeing the kind of natural adjustment. Is that when you have these players like Chase Young and Von Miller and Myles Garrett and Brian Burns, I mean, the natural evolution is that if you have any chance of stopping those guys, your offensive tackles have to be more athletic.
Oh.
And by the way, if you look at a picture of Tristan Wirfs at the combine, it looks like a child drew his legs. I mean, they're disproportionately large. I mean, this dude
who knows if he was a Lane Johnson? He might have been Lane Johnson was a tight end that they just switched the tackle.
By the way, Iowa, the College of, they have a pretty legendary weight training program in the weight room. They have records that have never been broken.
Yes, they do.
Yeah, Tristan Wirfs is legendary in a legendary strength and conditioning program. Like, apparently this dude has all of the accolades on deadlifts and stuff like that. I mean, Tristan Wirfs is an animal.
2 points on this, and go ahead, Brad.
He could play the right side, the left side. You could plug him anywhere, and you just let him go.
Yeah, for sure.
2 points to think about, and then we're going to the next call. Is number one is just kind of anecdotal. Jordan Gross was selected at number 8. We selected number 7. So kind of a parallel there is you get that guy that can be the guy. The question I have with Mekhi Becton is that while he's giant and fast and all of this, does he fit the qualification of kind of what we've heard Matt Rule talking about, making guards and these guys kind of slimmer and more athletic? And to me, the Tristan, what is his name? Tristan what?
Riffs. Just say like just
riff,
think
like a guitar riff. All right, so Tristan guitar riff sounds like he's kind of more the Matt Rule player than Mekhi Becton is, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean,
in some ways, yes.
In some ways, I mean, again,
it's not. It's just trying to find anything at that point. Like if you had the choice between Becton and Riffs, that's what we're kind of looking at. Is like, what is your preference as a staff and what you see? 6'7", and 6'7" is and 6'7" is almost a little too tall.
I don't think so.
No? Okay. That is tall, man.
So by the way, Trent Brown, who played for the Patriots when they won the Super Bowl, is with the Raiders now.
Yeah.
He's 6'8", and he got paid all the money.
Okay.
Yeah.
And he didn't test anywhere near as good as Mekhi Becton. And by the way,
you can have some struggles if you're that tall, just because players
like getting out of your stance. Yeah, exactly. Pad level, that type of thing. All right, let's keep going with the calls. There's still more to go. 252-228-5098. Tyler Lovato next.
Hey, what's up, C3? It's Lovato. I've been thinking a lot about Cam and the future of the team and why I think David Tepper's he's choosing to rebuild rather than keep Cam. I mean, since he bought the team, first 2 years he's been the owner, Cam's been hurt, and he's never watched a prime Cam out there on the field. He doesn't know how great Cam is when he's healthy. I truly think if he's seen that, how great Cam was whenever he is healthy, I think he may have decided not to rebuild and actually retool around Cam. And honestly, I think if Luke Kuechly doesn't retire, I don't think he decides to rebuild. I think he decides to retool. But after he hires Matt Rule, a rebuilding head coach, after he sees Luke Kuechly retire, he sees Cam get hurt for 2 years, he just thinks, all right, enough's enough. I'm going to strip this team out. I'm going to trade every asset I have if I can. I'm going to let all of my free agents walk. James Bradbury. Our defense looks like a mess right now. The only building block we have is Brian Burns, and he got like 3 starts last year. It's ridiculous. I'm honestly just sad for Cam. Like, we ruined this man's career. This man never had an offensive line. And I was thinking about it from a fan perspective. If Cam Newton's quarterback next year, I might buy a ticket. I might want to go watch a game because of that. But for the long-term success of the team, I don't want Cam here. It's sad. We're just going to ruin this man's prime. We already have ruined his damn prime.
I don't know how I feel about
What's
that
the point of
position.
keeping Cam next year if we're just
So
going to
who's
be
gonna talk him
rebuilding?
down?
And it's going to take us at least 2 to 3 years with all the holes we have on our team. By the time Cam has a team around him again, he's going to be 33, and I think he honestly doesn't play past 35 with all the injuries he's had. And I heard CK last time mention, well, Tom Brady's playing and Drew Brees is playing because of modern sports medicine and technology. They can extend their careers. Yes, that's true, but Drew Brees and Tom Brady are anomalies. If you look into history, there's not many quarterbacks that play in their 40s at all. I don't think Cam's going to be that guy because of all the hits he's taken. Plus, those guys, Drew Brees and Tom Brady, they get the ball out in like 2.5 seconds, and they rarely take hits. Cam Newton's takes so much hits since he's been in Carolina. He's never had an offensive line. He never had help. I don't want to see Cam here next year if we're going to rebuild. It looks like we're rebuilding right now. We had 2 options: to retool with Cam, which I think should have been the option. We should have rebuilt with him.
All right, here's part 2.
Hey, it's Bravado again. All right, enough ranting about Cam and
all right.
And all that
No,
bullshit.
if you're gonna change subjects, I want to put it around to everybody. I'll start with Brad. Did we waste Cam Newton's career?
Oh, absolutely. The fact that we never supplied this guy with an offensive line, it really pissed me off to a point to where he's having to run around for his life because of bad coaching, which I put a lot of his injuries on bad coaching and our medical staff for mishandling and mismanaging his injuries. But absolutely, we wasted Cam Newton's year with not putting a good offensive line together for him. And to this day, it still pisses me off that we never did that.
CK.
Waste is a strong word.
I know. I mean, it's I'm wavering with you.
So we didn't get a Super Bowl. So it depends upon what your level of success as far as wasting his prime is.
Did we squander? How about that?
Squander's a better road, yes.
So here's my I guess defense to Cam Newton being able to play into his 40s. Cam Newton is a much more gifted physical specimen than Tom Brady and Drew Brees ever were, right? There's not been very many quarterbacks who have the same type of a build that Cam Newton has. The injuries that
arguably none
Cam Newton has endured. Yeah, up to this point, I mean, you got to remember this guy was in a car accident and he still played, right? Now he was granted, with a fractured back. Yes, he was younger, but here's the part about this: all of those guys took hits. Drew Brees was injured for a good portion of his early career. What they've done in a good offensive coordinator, a good coach, develops an offense that's going to prevent those hits from taking place. Drew Brees doesn't get hit often. Tom Brady doesn't get hit often. Tom Brady's very smart about it. When he sees the pressure, he's very, very quick about getting the ball out. Even if it means throwing it at the feet of a option out to the right.
And an important note is that Tom Brady had his worst season this year and his worst offensive line. You know what I'm saying? The one thing we never is that not only did he get the ball out, but they did always give him a good line.
Yeah. But to assume that at the early 30s that his career is over would be lack of a better word, asinine. And so I don't think he was saying that Cam's career is over. I think a lot of people don't have faith in his ability to be the same Cam that he was. He's never going to be the 2015 Cam because of, yes, he's getting older. I still think that he has the capability of actually being a quarterback that's able to pass the ball and get the ball downfield as long. Matt Rule mentioned it. He's had a lot longer of a rehab for that shoulder now because of the foot injury. So I think if he comes out and he's not able to get that deep ball out, then there's a concern. I think then at that point in time, I'm ready to go ahead and sell the farm on Cam Newton. But until I see that, I think he's too valuable and he's been too important to this franchise, not only for the success of the franchise, but also the finances of the franchise and the marketing capability of the franchise. To just assume that he's not able to be a long-term solution would be premature.
Greg, did we squander Cam Newton's career? Oh, Greg, you got no sound. Look, he's been waiting. He's been waiting and waiting. We can't hear you. We can't hear you every week. All right. Cody, I know what you're going to say. I know what you're going to say, Cody. Go ahead.
You don't know what I'm going to say because
I know exactly what you're going to say. You better say it before the bad daddy gets back. Did we squander Cam Newton's career?
Okay, maybe you do know what I want to say. Yes, we absolutely. We do. We absolutely did. We did squander his career. And I mean, listen, it wasn't wasted because of the amount of fun and joy that Cam Newton has brought to the Carolina Panthers that we would have had nowhere near the amount of fun and excitement if we didn't have Cam Newton on the football team. But yeah, right. I mean, exactly. But listen, what I'm about to say goes without saying. Cam Newton was the first player drafted under the current CBA, and it has been demonstrated what you are to do in that scenario. If you're going to draft a quarterback on a rookie contract that you're not paying that much, it's your job to build around him to make his job easier before you have to pay him all the money in the world. For all of the inconsistencies that the Panthers have had, we were not able to do that for Cam Newton. He had a good interior of his offensive line, maybe one or two times in his career in 2013 and in 2015. And you saw what happened when he did have that good interior offensive line. He was an MVP candidate and led us into the playoffs and to a Super Bowl.
All right, so here's the one thing. I want to interject this, and then I'm going to go to Greg, is when you say that we've seen what the model is for the new CBA, it took 10 years to figure that out. And what I mean by that, and another thing is this, in fairness to the Panthers, they had $13 million in cap room in 2012. $13 million. You know what I'm saying? Like, how do you build around a... And if you say we squandered it before Cam ever got there, potentially, but the cap has risen so significantly. It rose from 2012 to 2013, just $12 million. Do you know in 2012 the cap was $112 million? Now it's like $185.
It's gone up 30% in the last 10 years.
And it's going to go up more.
It's really, and so I understand that, but I almost, that looks at it in a vacuum of not looking at the cap, though, at all. And, like, we didn't even have any money. Like, how do you do it? Okay. All right. Let's go to Greg. Did we squander Cam Newton's career?
Squandered, yes. Wasted, no. And I think it goes back to what CK was saying. It all depends on how you define success, because we did have some success with Cam Newton. We went to a Super Bowl, a couple playoff trips. He had an MVP season. So I wouldn't say wasted. No. What you got to look at it from, like what Tony's kind of saying here too, is with the salary cap. While we didn't give him the offensive line, how do we know for certain that Cam Newton, when he was younger, didn't say, spend money elsewhere, and I can protect myself in the offensive line because that's his style.
He didn't say. They didn't listen to his ass.
I'm just okay. Maybe if he didn't say that, how do we know that the franchise wasn't saying, "Well, we can compensate this way"?
Because you're exactly right.
He didn't have an offensive line.
You're exactly right about that. Because here's the problem with Cam Newton.
You're right.
Is Cam Newton gives you the, and I've always said this, he gives you the luxury to cut corners in places that other guys can't.
I agree.
You know, so you could be like, look, Cam can handle that. And we're not going to have the best offensive line. We're not going to have the best wide receiving core. No, we've got Cam. He's like, it's a double-edged sword for Cam. Cam is his worst enemy because he's so fucking good.
Yeah.
I agree.
And you know, just to, while we didn't give him the offensive line, we did give him other stuff. He had a couple of great defenses he played for. He's had some offensive weapons. I mean, you can name out D'Angelo Williams, Jonathan Stewart had some really good years. Greg Olson's a great tight end to have. He got to play with Steve Smith. Whether you like it or not, Kelvin Benjamin had a couple of good seasons with Carolina. Before he
yeah, but he's also I don't think you can say he's had offensive weapons. I don't even think that's a good thing to say. I don't think we can.
Well, I'm not saying he had phenomenal offensive weapons.
He had one good year, his rookie year.
Yeah, he had two tight ends and Steve Smith that year. Yeah. He was the weapon. That's the thing. The Panthers relied on him to be the weapon, and we tried to win games by keeping the other team under 17 and Cam getting us 20 by himself. That was the thing.
They had the mentality of you don't need tanks when you got an atom bomb. You know?
All right, let's go to T-Money. Did we squander his career?
Like everybody else said, waste is too strong of a word. Squander, yes. It was a travesty that with Cam, you took no first-round offensive lineman.
That is the thing. Let's talk about Byron Bell. Let's talk about fucking Mac. You know what I'm saying? Like it's just been piecemeal. Rimmers. Oh, the fucking worst.
Rimmers. Wow.
Oh, God.
So, I mean, most teams, every other team that I've seen thinks like that. I mean, you take Jameis Winston, you follow that up by taking Donovan Smith. You take Andrew Luck, you follow that up, you get Anthony Costanzo. You take two tight ends in that draft. I mean, they took Dwayne Allen and I forgot the tight end they had from Stanford.
Jack Doyle.
You take people to complement your quarterback. That's just part of building a team to me. And we just didn't do that. And we
took him for granted so much. Fucking Kelvin Benjamin's the fucking worst, dude.
You took Kelvin, who you knew had already failed 2 grades, so he was older than any other rookie receiver that
dumb as a fucking brick.
And you took him knowing he had weight issues at Florida State. And Cody said earlier, them interview questions that they have during the combine is sometimes the most important part of the combine. And whoever questioned Kelvin Benjamin is a fuck up. We just say that.
Think Morris Claiborne. With the lowest score in the history of the Wonderlic. Kelvin Benjamin couldn't have been far behind. Let's keep going with the call. Tyler Avado back again.
And he only took what? Who else was the first round receiver besides Kelvin? DJ?
No, that year it was. Oh, what, for us?
No, I'm saying ever. The whole time we had Kelvin. It was only DJ and Kelvin, right?
Steve Smith has been the best wide receiver that Cam Newton has ever played with, and Steve Smith was on our original Super Bowl team. So I mean, just the tight end. I mean, Greg Olson has been his most reliable receiver since he's been playing in the NFL.
That offense was dope under Chudzinski, though.
It was.
Olsen, Shockey, Steve Smith. They put
he let the running backs that we ended up getting rid of anyway talk Chud out of the door. They didn't like that Cam was getting to run the ball way more than they were.
I still want to punch D'Angelo in his well. All right, let's go back to Tyler.
I looked at the receivers, and oh my God, it's loaded, baby. There's at least 15 receivers that I would love to have, and since there's so much receivers, I think we could actually get a great one in the 3rd round. not a great one, maybe a really good one in the third round. But I was thinking about Denzel Mims from Baylor, the one that Matt Rule coached last year. He ran a 4.38 at the combine. He's 6'3", 208 pounds. He looks like a fucking monster. And I was wondering, like,
you know they're gonna pick his ass. I promise you they'll pick him.
I would love to have this man if we can get him in the second. But I know we need our defense looks like shit, and we really need other positions. But this dude, I feel like he would be a steal for the second round.
Oh,
I feel like,
shit.
I don't even know.
Hold on, I gotta pause this call. Randy Trotter, about to get iced up here, said Ted Ginn Jr. was his best wide receiver. That's some bull.
Highest drop percentage in the NFL that season, guess.
Yeah, he's had the most touchdowns as a wide receiver.
Ted Ginn got better after, but still, he's better. He was better while he was here, but not the best. Steve Smith, those 2 years, he was better.
In the second round. But I was wanting to ask Cody what he thought about that. Denzel Mims, or what position do you think we need to take in the second round? And,
dude, we should draft 3 defensive players in a row right now. Do you think it's
possible we even get a receiver in the second? Or do you think that's too high? Do you think we need to wait to the third to get a receiver?
Yeah, who we draft first?
Okay. Keep on it.
So, listen, man, I mean, I so badly want to be able to answer these questions with a good answer, but we're still too soon in the process. I don't know.
You won't know 3 weeks from now either. It don't matter.
No, I wouldn't.
You won't know. You won't know on draft night.
7 is so you have to wait to see who's on the board.
Right. See how the board falls.
I mean, listen,
and see how he did free agency too. So that's
what I'm talking about. You're one of the things, love him or hate him, Dave Gettleman had some one-liners that made sense. Okay, your free agency does set up your draft.
Which he never fucking did, asshole. Guys, he was the worst at doing his own. If he listened to himself.
He tried. He would try.
Not that year we drafted 3 fucking corners back to back.
In theory, that's what you
We had to, though.
Because he did
but how many of them worked out?
There are, I mean, it's
impossible. They really worked out, just not for us.
Yeah, not
he
for
did
us.
not work out, man. He worked out.
Not for us. He's working out for Oakland.
No, he is not. No, he is not.
He actually has became a good corner.
Oh, shit.
Not even playing.
Who are we talking about? Daryl Worley?
Daryl Worley. You go back, Cody. Take them. What? You crazy as hell.
Now Zach Sanchez been chilling. He can't make any league right now.
No.
All right.
Back. You want to make sure that your free agency sets up your draft. Right now, it's entirely impossible to know what we're going to do in the second round because I don't know what we're going to do in the first round. I don't even know if we're drafting a new franchise quarterback this year. So there's just no way to know.
There's only one way to fuck it up. If you take Herbert or Love in the first.
Oh, get him. Yeah.
I don't know about Love, but I don't agree that they should take Herbert. Love, I don't know. I don't know enough about it to really comment.
Comment. They got Love projected the Chargers.
One day, me and T Money need to do an episode where we just talk about our differences because
no, you don't want it won't do enough. I think I'm with T Money on this. It won't do enough for us.
Well, yeah, I'm sure you do think that way. What I'm thinking is this:
that's the most condescending thing I've ever heard.
Of course, you're siding with him. He told you there was a little brother in you.
Y'all motherfuckers are vicious.
Man, this is what I know. Whenever you have
where's Joe at, man?
Yeah,
I used to dog.
Can I get another brown person on this show, please?
But no, the final thing that I'll kind of say here is that there are players that you take a bet on and that you're willing to bet on. And I would say that Justin Herbert would be a player that I would be willing to bet on. Now, I understand I think a lot differently about this than most people, and I don't have enough time to really delve into why I think this tonight. But if I'm not upset if we end up having to move on.
How about this? Do we need a receiver in this draft at some point?
Right now, if you're watching this, Marty Herney, if it's Derek Brown, Isaiah Simmons, all on the board, and you take Justin Herbert, you're gonna have to see me.
I agree. I agree. I agree. I see. That's how I'm kind of. I'm with you. I'm with you.
So I
answer that, Cody. Answer that.
What specifically?
Yeah, you're at your
you
pick
have
7.
Derek Brown, Isaiah Simmons, or Okuda, whichever one I think one of them will be there, and Justin Herbert are all in the room. You gonna take Justin Herbert first?
Well, hold on. Are we under the assumption that Cam Newton is coming back for the final year?
We don't care. We don't care. How about this?
I don't care.
If you pass on Isaiah Simmons for Justin Herbert,
but listen, the context
would you
matters.
be okay? No, it doesn't. It doesn't.
This is what I'll say. This is what I'll say.
You just said he was a generational fucking player, dude.
Even with Cam not being on the board, if there's nothing I see in Justin Herbert that I can't get out of Jalen Hurts in the 3rd round.
Oh, that's not true at all. He has a much bigger arm talent. He's far more mobile, and he's a more physical player. I mean, listen, Jalen
Herbert's more mobile than Jalen Hurts.
Yeah, Jalen Hurts ran a little faster, but as far as what they'll be able to do in the NFL, look at what Josh Allen and Cam Newton have already done.
No, nothing is convincing me. I'm with T-Money on this. Is that Justin Herbert is all speculation.
Hold on. Let me finish my point.
Ahead,
if you're starting from the ground up and you don't have a quarterback, you're damn right I'm taking Herbert. If you don't have the most important position on the team, if you don't have a franchise quarterback, then yeah, 100% you take the guy that
Do you know what this sounds like to me? This sounds like when the Jacksonville Jaguars drafted Blake Bortles first.
Thanks.
Like, we got no choice. We got no fucking choice.
Based off of who
I put my hand. I promise on everything. I'd rather sit through another year of Kyle Allen and Will Greer than to draft Justin Herbert.
Damn.
Interesting.
No, that's fine. Hey, Justin Herbert is a better player than both of those dudes.
Nah, we're not saying that. That's not what we're saying. The thing is that you're saying this, is that Isaiah Simmons is like it's almost like a no risk. It's no risk. And not only is it no risk, you're talking about this. The downside to Isaiah Simmons.
Isaiah Simmons can guard Julio.
Pass up on him. But now y'all are taking me out of context, man. Because this is what I'm saying. If Cam Newton's on the football team, I'm not drafting Justin Herbert.
I don't care if we got. I mean, let's go get. Let's go get Teddy Bridgewater and Isaiah Simmons then.
If you were asking me if you had all those players in a room, well, who would you draft? Well, that depends. Does my team have a quarterback? Because if they don't, there is no more important position than the quarterback. Now,
if we're
Greg,
I'd rather wait. Let me ask. I want to ask
the quarterback down the line.
Yeah, all right, but there's no guarantee that you're going to be in the range to draft either Trevor Lawrence or Justin Fields.
But you get free agency.
Kyle Allen and Will Greer, it is.
Yeah, no, true. That's the truth. Greg, you got children, right? We can't hear him again. Every time. Oh my goodness.
Throw your hands up in the air, man.
I wanted to ask somebody, when's the worst time to go to the grocery store?
When you're hungry.
And this is a old Dave Gettleman line. Oh no, this is Dave. This is a Dave Gettleman line. You don't shop hungry. And I think if you pick, and I'm not saying this but here. Look, love is all of a sudden the talk of the town. This and that and this and that.
Like Josh Allen.
Yeah. Exactly. All right, let's go to the next call. I'm with you, T-Money, though.
Panthers podcast, how y'all doing? Y'all know what this is. This is G Cavassier.
What's up, G?
Y'all real long. I know y'all seen the news on social media and everything like that. The rumor is that we're shopping Trai Turner. I pray to God that we're not, you know what I'm saying? Because this is just my personal opinion. Because I watched another podcast called Keep Pounding TV. You know what I'm saying?
How
shout
dare
out
you,
to the
kid.
big cat. You know what I'm saying? But a lot of situations are going on right now in the team, and this is my personal opinion. I think if Trai Turner, if he gets traded or whatever, I think Cam Newton is gone, man. I really do, man. Because Trai Turner held down that right side for a while. I mean, he didn't do all that good last year, you know, but he's still a good offensive lineman. He really is. I don't see what kind of draft picks you're going to get for him. You know what I'm saying? But I don't know. I'm just a fan. So give me your take on that.
I think you're right, G.
Trai Turner goes to another team. You think Cam Newton's going to stay with us, man? I don't know.
All right. I like that call, G, and I'm with you. And the earlier discussion between some of us is this about accumulating, you know, kind of, what did you say, Brad?
Draft picks and assets.
Yeah, assets. Or is this, but here's the thing for me, and this is, and T-Money, you said this, you made the comparison when we were talking about cutting a player a year too early with Steve Smith. You know, we cut Steve Smith and we saved $3 million, but the league minimum for like a veteran is like 1.8. You know what I'm saying? So to get the worst fucking receiver in the league who is a veteran, you still have to pay half of that $3 million back. That's where I'm kind of weird.
I'm gonna tell you who's. I'm gonna tell you a team that's the king of cutting somebody a year or two early, and then we can look at it.
Patriots.
Right. Yeah, New England. Yeah.
Patriots. Yeah.
A year too early, though?
Everybody thinks they're crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, everybody thinks they're crazy when they get rid of somebody.
And Brady, yes.
Yeah. As soon as they get rid of him, I was like, oh, I can't believe you're getting rid of this player. And then a year later, you never hear from that player again.
Yeah.
And half the time, that player, they get them back if they want them, like Jamie Collins.
Okay. Oh, that's good point. Good point.
Hey, real quick, Tony, I wanted to put this in, answer your question. Best time to go to the grocery store, if you have kids, best time to go to the grocery store is when your kids are not with you.
Hey,
just whenever your kids are not with you, go to the grocery store.
Oh,
and
my gosh.
Daryl Worley and Bradbury comparison. Daryl Worley had 52 tackles, Bradbury had 57. Worley's 1 reception, Bradbury's 3, and Worley allowed 42 receptions, Bradbury allowed 48. And Worley's overall rating, including run defense and everything else, is a 64, and Bradbury's was a 60. So they are pretty comparable players.
Dude, that's fucking impressive.
Yeah,
that's impressive considering that more people were throwing at Daryl Worley.
No,
because James Bradbury is supposed to be our number one corner.
Lies. He's got to play Julio. He's got to play Mike Evans.
Bradbury had 81 targets and Worley only had 74. So Worley had slightly less targets than Bradbury did.
Dude, he had to play Julio. He had to play Mike Evans. That's his argument, man. I should have done big.
That's a good point. That's a very good point. Yeah.
All right.
That's all he really.
Man, Daryl Worley was trash, dude. He is trash, man. He was sorry when he was.
Not in Oakland.
I'm just saying he's just as good as Bradbury. You know.
I disagree with that.
All right, I want to go. I'm going to go watch the film.
Worley was a way better looking corner in Oakland.
Dude also it fell asleep in the middle of a fucking intersection, drunk. No, I'm not a Worley fan.
Rob us for $15 million, though.
Nah, I'm not saying we keep Bradbury. What I'm saying is that draft was the worst. That draft set us back so far. Drafting,
yes, but I'm just saying Worley, once he moved on, looked better.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Well, it took 2 teams to do it, but man, that draft sucked.
What's on, fellas? This is Ryan from Tucson, Arizona.
He's gonna talk shit about
Appreciate
me.
the show.
I'm
listening
stepping
last
away.
week, and Tony D and Carl
See,
D
I'm stepping away.
have a very Ron Rivera mindset when it comes to understanding multiple position players. I don't think Matt Rule is trying to get a bunch of Taysom Hills on our team. I think what he's trying to do, let me make it simple for you guys. We have the perfect example. It's like having a Christian McCaffrey versus a Jonathan Stewart. I think what he says by having a guy that can do multiple things. Christian McCaffrey and Jonathan Stewart in his prime was a pretty good running back. But as a defense, you weren't necessarily worried about scheming up any type of defense to contain Jonathan Stewart because it was simply just 3 yards in a cloud of dust. But Christian McCaffrey changes the envelope a little bit because not only is he a great running back, he does multiple things out of the backfield as well as in the slot. And you can even line him up on the outside. Minka Fitzpatrick there in Pittsburgh, I believe. He was a tweener coming out of college too. And it's not necessarily trying to make a guy play multiple positions. It's about taking a guy who has the ability to do multiple things, finding a home for him on the defense, and then making him, and then be able to create extra schemes around him to utilize his talents better, opposed to having a gadget player like Taysom Hill who just does a bunch of things okay. Where Christian McCaffrey kind of dominates the field. Same with Alvin Kamara or even Le'Veon Bell or even Aaron Donald, who's not just simply a nose tackle. You can shift him up on defensive end. You can put him on the other side. You can put him at both positions. He can do multiple things along the defensive line. And I think that's what they're trying to achieve out of players, because if you have guys who can do multiple things, it allows you to come up with different schemes and to fuse defenses or offenses more often. But the risk that you run with them is, like Minka Fitzpatrick, is if you don't utilize them correctly. And that is the downside to having somebody like that if you don't find them a home on defense. Isaiah Simmons, who should be a linebacker, but no, you should never try to man him up on Julio Jones. Get out of here, Cody. If you're ever going to be taken seriously as an analyst, don't ever say stupid stuff like that again, dude. But anyways, have a good one. Keep pounding. Don't forget you.
Well, first,
Cody, I think you should go first.
Let me 100% go first. I would take my ability to evaluate talent over anyone's in this chat room or anyone calling into these cat calls line. Get at me, bro. Number two.
I'll catch y'all later. You know, I'm gonna have to go.
But nah, man. Look, so I kind of think. I'm not gonna lie. I caught the tail end of that call, man. My connection was fucking up bad on me. I was trying to fix it, but I did catch that last little bit. That's kind of all I caught.
Well, first of all, we ain't gonna to my guy. We ain't gonna disrespect Jay Stu like you didn't have to scheme for him.
That's what I was gonna say. Is that ask Rondé Barber if he was just okay.
Yeah, but I do. I mean, the rest of that, I see his point of you have to manage a Christian McCaffrey the right way, which a lot of people, especially fans of other teams that I know, didn't think we were going to do with Christian McCaffrey. So other than that, I mean, I do agree with that, but we're not going to play Jay Stu. That's all I want to say.
Is that, first of all, is that double trouble year, man? Those two running backs, Jay Stu, they owned it. But all right, so thinking and listening to his call with the positionless player and in reaction to what I said, I think kind of, you know, when we're in these top 10 picks, sometimes that doesn't matter, right? Because these guys are so good that they're going to find that home. Except for one of the kind of things that I have, to me, I get concerned about what I see as a Vic Beasley. And I'm not saying I'm not comparing him to Vic Beasley. What I'm saying is this, is that so many times we see these players and we're like, man, they could be a defensive end, they could be an outside linebacker, they could be you're a Carolina fan, right? T-Money?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Quentin Coples. You know what I'm saying? Okay. Is that but it's like
that comes with what we talked about earlier with the coaching. Atlanta never gave Vic Beasley any moves to this day. it's either straight speed or he ain't gonna get anywhere close to the quarterback at all. So somebody should have figured, hey, if I have a good defensive line coach, I can teach Vic Beasley with all his athleticism the moves to be a good defensive end.
Well, maybe they didn't interview him well enough.
I mean, when they were saying that Dwight Freeney was trying to teach him his spin move, I mean, the coach can't teach him that. The player,
yeah.
And you know what? That's kind of the opposite argument to me. So I'm thinking about the guy who doesn't have a place, but there is a positionless player who is the guy who plays up into a place. I mean, if you think about Dwight Freeney, he should not have been as good as he was in the NFL. You know what I'm saying?
True.
Like he was a positionless player. Yeah, he was a positionless player who found a way to become dominant. So it's
somebody, either himself or somebody taught him that spin move that was unstoppable.
I think though with Isaiah Simmons, when you see his body composition, there's no way. It's almost like it's very similar to what I say with Cam Newton. Is that like if I'm picking a pickup ball, like if we playing football in the backyard, like I'm picking Cam Newton every time for number one. Like that's my guy. Like that's the guy I want. Is Isaiah Simmons is of that class of player. It's just like that big fast motherfucker. I'll take him.
Exactly.
Next.
Because he's that big without having to sacrifice size.
Yeah. Doesn't sacrifice speed, doesn't sacrifice strength, doesn't nothing. Just fast, big. It's a freak. He's a freak, dude. That shit is crazy. He ran that fast. I'd be interested to see, Cody, is his side, like, while those sprints are impressive, right? A sprint is impressive. It's not the same as, like, start and stop speed.
It shows on film.
Does it?
It shows on film, though. His ability to go sideline to sideline, to catch people, it shows on film.
Good.
He does it all. He does it all, and he does it all well.
All right, next call.
What's up? C3 fam, this is Carl D. What's going on, Professor T?
What's up, Carl?
And
the whole
C3,
panel tonight.
The man himself.
What's up?
The stat daddy.
Carl.
And the arguably, and I say arguably, the guru of NFL scouting, Mr. Cody Lackey.
Yeah.
You know Carl was about to talk a gang of shit about me.
I've been doing some
arguably
research and scouting as I off the time a lot of times do. I have some sleepers, I'm going to say, after this, that I've looked up and also observing the combine. First, I'd like to start off with say, Cody, I nailed it. I said Riggs was not going to get that combine record. Told you he wouldn't get it. He ran a 4.27, which, ironically, that's what Barry Sanders ran when he did the combine back years ago, and which I know because I had the T-shirt, which had all his combine numbers on there.
So does Garth Brooks, who loves the other
fan. But anyway, I got some sleepers I want to go over with you. Cody, we had our opinion about Isaiah. Well, Cody, I have a guy that I'm not sure you really talked about. A linebacker by the name of Willie Gay. He's very athletic. He's the next thing. He's just as well. He may not be Simmons, but he's close to Simmons' level. Let's look at his combine numbers: a 4.4, a 39-inch vertical leap. Now, and this dude is a natural inside linebacker. We need an inside linebacker. This guy can fit the bill. I know he had some questions and off the field issues, but come on, this guy, if you can put a lid on that, hey, you got yourself one hell of an athlete. My sleeper at wide receiver, LSU Justin Jefferson. I mean, he wasn't as good as he had at LSU. He still wasn't talked about as one of the top receivers. But at the combine, I thought the guy had.
What happened?
Was that the end of the
timed
call?
out.
That was 3 minutes.
That was one of the best
All right.
combine performances, though.
All right, let's go ahead and comment on those two real quick. Willie Gay, CK. Any thoughts?
I'm gonna. I think.
I meant Cody. I meant Cody. Sorry, but CK, if you got anything, go ahead. Your name is Cody, by the way.
So I've watched a little bit of Willie Gay. I haven't watched quite enough of his film to give you a solid endorsement for or against him yet. A lot of guys end up testing well, and they never ends up playing out on the field. He wasn't in anybody's top 5 linebacker listing before the combine, so I'm interested to see
because he
why
got suspended. Let me see why he got suspended. Look, this is the quote from CBS. Gay is a missile on the field, a rangy linebacker who at times lays the lumber, but mostly his athleticism is accentuated in coverage. So he's a coverage linebacker. The latter fact is a huge plus to his game, of course. Outside of Isaiah Simmons, Gay is the most athletically stunning second-level defender in the class. Additionally, he's rocked up at 6'1", 243 pounds. He was suspended in 2019, yet he still had 3.5 tackles for loss, a pick 6 in 5 games that he played. He is almost identically tested to Devin White.
Yeah, he definitely had the physical testing of a first-round pick. So I'd be interested to delve into his film.
What I like about that call, though, real quick, though, from Carl is that while we're infatuated with Isaiah Simmons, maybe Simmons going at 3 would be a kind of a blessing in disguise when just a couple of weeks ago Greg brought up Schroeder, whatever his name is,
Greg
Schobert,
yeah.
Who, by the way, will not be going back to the Browns this year. But maybe we've talked about this, the most easily replaceable position on the offense being the running back. Is there really a giant difference? You know what I'm saying? Is that I understand how freakish this guy is, but maybe it's a blessing if he's taken before, and then you get a guy like this, like Carl D is saying, maybe like in the 3rd or the 2nd. I don't know where he's going to fall, where he will be at, and then he turns out to be comparable.
Yeah.
If that involved us getting like Okuda in the first round, I can see that.
Yeah. All right. Now go ahead.
I'll say here's the thing about Simmons too is while he can play so many positions, and I would love to have the guy on my team, what you're saying right now makes total sense, Tony, because he can play all these positions, but he can only play one at a time.
Right.
And when you get to the NFL, he's probably not going to be bouncing around from safety to corner to linebacker. We're probably going to want him focused in on one position, where maybe he can fill a slot here and there every once in a while.
If so there's an injury, yeah.
The jackknife trade then is not as valuable. It's nice to know the abilities there, which is good, but I don't think he's going to be utilized the pros anywhere he goes like he was in college.
I think that's a great point.
I think his biggest thing would be with the range, like when you're in your nickel and you run a 4-2-5 with him and Shaq in the middle of the field. I think that's a crazy range of what they can do and play and make plays.
Yeah,
it is. But Luke is arguably one of the best linebackers in the history of football. What did he run? His 4.46 ain't slow. Let's just put it that way.
No.
Cody, go on.
We know Luke's not, though, as much as we love him. He didn't like taking blocks.
Cody, tell us about this wide receiver, though.
Yeah, Justin Jefferson for LSU. Really, had a fantastic combine. He was another one of these receivers for LSU that just had a monster year. I think he almost had 20 touchdowns. He ran a 4.4. Mainly, he was a slot inside guy because LSU also has other freaks at the position. But man, Justin Jefferson had 4 touchdowns against Oklahoma, caught 4 touchdown passes. I mean, the dude's a baller. He's absolutely insane. He probably worked himself into that first round conversation that I really do think. I mean, he might even go sooner than T. Higgins. I don't know. A lot of it just it just kind of depends on whatever your flavor is for drafting wide receivers in this class. But Justin Jefferson is a great football player. He's tall enough, fast enough. He will be a day one starter in the NFL. And again, something I want to put out there to people is a lot of these LSU offensive players. Dude, don't be surprised if we take a liking to these guys, because Joe Brady has already worked with them before. So
absolutely,
I mean, yeah. If you put Justin Jefferson in this offense, someone that Joe Brady knows very well, and who would be a perfect complementary piece to our 2 other speed receivers. So, yeah, that would be a good pick for us.
Justin Jefferson would be the first big receiver we've ever had that can separate from people.
Well, he's not big. Like what? He's like 6 foot, 6'1". Like he's not a
somewhere in there. Yeah.
Yeah, he's not a huge.
When you watch him, he plays big though. He definitely is hard to get.
He does.
He runs through tackles. His run after the catch's ability is like a big dude, but like a small dude at the same time.
You kind of. Here's the thing: he is what you wanted LaFell to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, LaFell was a bigger
or Funchess.
Yeah, LaFell was. Both of those are bigger. You know what I'm saying? But
Funchess, we knew it's like Kelvin. They both ran slow at the combine.
Yeah, man. I actually think LaFell was better than both of those cats. That's my
Funchess would have been
opinion.
a mean tight end.
No, he would not. He's a sissy, bro. He can't play no tight end. He's a sissy. I mean,
As a pass catching tight end, he can run away from some linebackers and safeties.
Yeah, but he can't block for shit. He can't do nothing. He gets muscled up by a damn 5'10", by a 5'10" corner. He gets muscled up like a little bitch. You know why? Because what's his favorite food, guys?
The tight end the block though.
What's his favorite food?
It's all that salad.
All that salad.
Salad boy.
Here's part 2 of the
Yes,
call.
let me continue real quick. I thought Jefferson was good, but he proved at the combine he was not. I mean, a 4.43. That is great. 37-inch vertical. That's not bad. Hey, if we can get him in a later round or like a second round or something, hey, in the Brady what's his name system, Brady system. You already know the system. Never know. Put him with our 2 bad boys. We might have ourselves one of the best receiving corps. All right? And then I would say a sleeper is Becton, but, Becton already proved that he's a sleeper himself. A sub 5'2". Woo! He already was good. I was eyeing him, but dang, Becton. And my last sleeper, Cody. We've been talking about a tight end. Well, I have one who could possibly look from Notre Dame,
Chase Claypool.
He was wide receiver, but
Is this that guy? This is that what you were talking about earlier,
Look
Cody?
at these measurables.
Yeah.
6'4", 238, a 4.2, 40.
That wants to be a receiver though.
A 40-inch vertically, a 10-inch broad jump. 19 reps on
10
the
foot.
bench.
10 foot.
Ladies and gentlemen, if this guy falls to us in like the second round, We as Panther fans should rejoice because we have found Greg Olson's replacement.
Nah, fuck that.
How about that?
This is what I say.
So
He doesn't want to be a tight end, though.
Well, that's fine. He don't want to be a tight end, but if we draft him as a tight end, if I was a GM, I would make a rule. My rule in life is to never draft a tight end before the third. Ever. I don't care.
What if it ends up being Travis Kelce or George Kittle?
No, sorry. Is that first of all, those are 1 in a million. We're talking about, I can give you 50.
But you would draft a receiver before the third?
Olsen.
Yeah. Is that, first of all those dudes, Greg Olsen was a first-round pick. O.J. Howard's a first-round pick. I could give you, go down Jack Doyle to fucking Jake Butt to fucking, go down the list of assholes in the butthole who are not worth, it's just not worth it. After all of you guys
Greg
are
Olsen
set.
should have been a first-round pick off of that Miami rap song alone.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. He was a first-round pick. He was a first-round pick. All right, next call.
That's what I'm saying. Greg with the third leg.
I'm sure a lot of you guys have on your mind what I've got on my mind, and that is the quarterback situation on the team. Dumping everybody here left and right. I'm pretty sure Cam's probably not going to be on the team. And the connection of Rule to P.J. Walker of the Houston Roughnecks, who played for him at Temple.
Oh my goodness.
If we're going to put
better
Kyle
not.
out there,
He is the.
why don't we just put P.J. Walker out there?
P.J. Walker is the best quarterback in the XFL. He is the Patrick Mahomes of the XFL.
Facts.
All right. Yeah. Don't worry.
No
if we get,
but not going to be my starting quarterback.
True that.
This is the first time I've ever got cut off.
No, next call. Because Tyler's sorry. We got 2 calls.
Aside from Randy Trotter being on crack in the chat room, he is saying some.
This is Joey Escobar.
Some crazy stuff. He's a bit more normal than
he may be blind, but he can see.
Enough about him. I just wanted to ask, can anyone does anyone know where Brandon Herbert's going to dinner after James Bradbury gets cut? Because
Ruth Chris.
I want to go with him because I'm sure it's a fancy ass restaurant. Anyway, and yes, I think we could do without Trai Turner because he hasn't been good for a while, has he? I mean, he's been our best.
He's been okay. He has not been great
for an O-line that had Darrell Williams and whatever fucking clown was our O-line coach. Matsko, that's who it was.
Oh, but everybody says he's the best in the business. Cody, I'm going to turn this over to you. Is Trai Turner, is his skills diminished, or is it kind of everybody on that team is bad because of the player beside them? You have constantly said that our defense, it's hard to judge a player. Oh, Cody's on mute. But you guys, is it
Matt Parrott is not being Matt Parrott is not playing as well as everybody. That was the issue.
No,
they definitely thought Matt Parrott was going to be better.
Yeah,
no one.
He'll be better this year because he's 2 years off the injury now.
No one on our team has played well, but I've seen Trai Turner get just bullied a lot the past few years.
Yeah,
and I'm not just going to pretend like that didn't happen. Again, man, and it's so tough because I don't know who really to be hard on and who not to. Like everything we thought we knew about the coaching staff. Apparently, we had one better. Apparently, we had one of the better offensive line coaches in the NFL. That's not true. I mean, I don't know. I'm not.
How do we have the best coach in the fucking NFL at the offensive line and the worst offensive line every fucking year?
There's no way.
Yeah. So got Mike Remmers to be an offensive tackle in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, it's ridiculous, man.
Okay, all right, so that. But what else
you
did
can
he
do that, you're a miracle worker.
Mike Rimmers, you know what? I always say this about Mike Rimmers is he's not bad in weeks 1 through 12. He hits a wall though. In week 12, like he can't keep up no more. You know what I'm saying? Like his
Who was
body
our
breaks
offensive
down.
tackles in the Super Bowl game?
Or in Rimmers.
Rimmers in the blind side. And you got both of them to a Super Bowl, you're a miracle worker.
Yeah, nah, man. Orr played fantastic that year.
Fantastic.
Once again,
very good.
Cam Newton compensates for a weaker offensive
Agreed.
line. So,
amen.
Agreed.
He's
so
safe.
why they
you
may
know
have
what?
played well.
How about this? You want to know why John Matsko is the best fucking offensive line coach in the history of the world? Cam Newton. I'd be the best.
I mean, you can't say that based
coach,
on the last 2 years.
Yeah.
You know.
All right. Well, that's why we have had a shitty fucking line too. All right.
Yeah.
Next, last call.
Okay,
Because
so
we
a
haven't
little
drafted better talent.
clarification on my Trai Turner comment. Well, yeah, he's good, or at least he was good, but you didn't really hear his name much.
He's good.
And,
It's hard. It's so hard to evaluate. It's not worth cutting him though. It's not worth trading
Out of
him.
them 5 Pro Bowl
If we
appearances,
don't
how many was he
go
an alternate?
offensive line?
Wait, say that again.
Out of them 5 Pro Bowls, how many times did he really make the Pro Bowl? How many times? Was he
Yeah, well, like not an alternate, not somebody in the Super Bowl who decided not to go or declined to go or something like that.
3 years.
He was not on
I'll
the
say
Pro
3.
Bowl team last year. They added him after everybody.
Yeah. I don't think you should be able to rest on that.
But that's how they started that whole little tweet with that 5-time Pro Bowler trade. Like, come on now.
Yeah.
Well, they're trying to sell him. I mean, if you're going to try to put him out there, you're going to put his best. You know, you're going to try to talk him up as good as you can. You know, it's like.
But I do think
it's got 4 good wheels. I mean, but
yeah,
I mean,
But that also makes the fan base, the casual fan who doesn't watch like we watch, that makes them weak out. Oh, that's
You're right. Pro
Bowl we're getting rid
of.
Right, but that's why they do that. Yeah. That's exactly
And
why
I was on record over the past year saying that, man, Trai Turner is just not doing what we think he's supposed to be. We saw it. We saw that. And it's like Cody said, it's hard to tell when you're evaluating a team that just sucks a D. Is it one person that is doing? Is he holding the balls, or is he just off working the door?
My evaluation is that they expected Matt Paradis to be better.
You expect what?
They expected Matt Paradis to be better than what he was going to be.
For
most of last year, Matt Paradis sucked.
Yeah, he was sorry. And I want to give this. I'm going to give Paradis one more try because we have seen every time players are coming off an injury and they're like, hey, they're going to be fine. It's been 12 months. It always takes 2 years till they get to the form. So I'm not.
The thing that I'm afraid of, though, Tony, is we gave the same reasoning
to Matt Khalil. God, I knew you were going to say it. I knew you were going to fucking. You're right. You're right. Tough. It's tough. All right, let's finish this call.
Is it just us, or do we have the most people lying about injuries, them saying people are fine? Like Eric Reed just coming out the other day talking about he had 2 injuries. Why do our players lie so much?
Make excuses.
Or maybe it's not just us.
Eric Reed, though, is always
us. I don't
hurt.
know, but it seems like it.
Tell me this: isn't Eric Reed always hurt? And it might be his style of play. It might be his style.
Remember Ryan Khalil's first injury was he had a crick in his neck.
Oh God! Yes.
Yeah.
Remember the joke
on it wrong.
The joke on the show. The joke on the show was that he was at a fucking in the back room of adult theater, and they got it.
If Michael Orr had a concussion, it just never came back.
It never came back.
Yeah. Poor guy. Oh my God.
think though, I do think that Eric Reed's style of play makes him injury prone. He's kind of like a Cam on the defense. But remember, what's your first? I know what the first time I ever met Eric Reed, he wasn't a Panther.
Talking about when Mike Tolbert ran him
over. Hell yeah. And left him like dead. Left him fucking dead, dude. That motherfucker, I was everybody was concerned about his life.
Mike Tolbert had to apologize to his parents for that.
All right, let's finish this call.
He legit met with his parents after the game and apologized.
Hey, real quick, I was looking at Matt Paradis' stats because I wasn't sure about how good he was last year. 6th in the league for snaps played at almost 1,100, 1,094. He only had 3 penalties all year and only allowed 3 sacks all year. And those are the only.
Yeah, but we watched it. We saw it.
Rating, I mean.
Yeah, but we watched it. I
watched Matt Paradis. I seen a lot of Matt Paradis on his back or missing people.
Yeah, like getting just bowled over. It kind of reminded you of Khalil in those latter years, you know? All right, let's finish this call and get the ISO picks.
If we don't take one of these freaking beasts or freaks, as Cody calls them, offensive tackles. I mean, I know he's a guard, but you can find a guard in free agency. Our offensive line isn't really going to be worse without Trai Turner if we play this the right way.
I can see that.
Like, I think we'll live, but I would like to see him without Masco. You know, that I would like to see that, but that's my thought, and I still maintain. Speaking of that, I was at a Trump rally yesterday, and I heard the "Build That Wall" chant, and I thought around Cam Newton. Exactly, we got to build that wall around Cam Newton.
All right.
From hell, bro.
All right, hold on. All right, we're gonna end the call on this question. I'm gonna turn it to Cody. Is he being? I'm pretty sure that Joey Escobar lives in San Francisco.
No, I think he's downtown, isn't he? Like, doesn't he talk about going and walking downtown Charlotte?
Oh, I thought he was a California guy. Joey Escobar, chime in where you're at. Is Joey Escobar being at a Trump rally a troll job joke there?
I have so many questions for Joey Escobar.
It might be.
Not even
it
funny.
might be.
The blind is Joey Escobar the blind Dave Chappelle as a KK Klansman. You remember that?
With that last name, he lucky he made it out alive. If he was
You're not lying, bro. Wow. All right. Yeah, I got some questions for.
All right.
But as far as his call, I agree. If you, like I said, it depends on what draft picks you get for Trai Turner. If you get a second for Trai Turner, just think about who that could be in this draft.
Yeah.
He does live in Charlotte.
Second.
You're right.
Like a
You're
second
right.
at the end of the second is not worth it, right? But if you can get like a first half of the second round, you might start thinking a little bit with as deep as this class is.
Even at the bottom of the second, though, with these receivers, what receiver can you get at the bottom of the second?
I know y'all were talking about getting Jalen Hurts in the third earlier.
Wait, you said a receiver at the bottom of the second?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe like a
Michael Thomas,
a Brandon Ayuk. Wait, you mean in this year's class? We're talking, yeah, Brandon Ayuk. Maybe a Denzel Mims falls, but he might have pushed himself up the board.
But it might be like what you're talking about, T Money, is that it's kind of like let's pull the Patriot way. It's like let's just get ahead of it. Let's get a little collateral. Like, is that we sacrifice a little bit now, but we save a little money. The money's not the big deal.
I just think a draft pick over a guard is more. You can find a serviceable guard and have an extra draft pick. This is how I feel about it.
Yep.
Yeah, it'd be different if you're replacing a superstar. but I don't think Trai Turner's a superstar anymore.
Gosh, I just don't. I don't. What I don't get is this: is that we're just talking about build that fucking wall, and then you're trading the only guy that's played well in his fucking career.
We're rebuilding. Y'all have to. Y'all have to. Yeah, like y'all don't play video games. Like, what do you do when you rebuild? You trade all the talent off. You get all the draft picks. You go into the draft with like 4 first-round picks. Like, that's all part of rebuilding.
Yeah, that's what you do.
You know what's funny about it all is if you follow the Carolina Panthers on Twitter, for the combine, they had a lot of these, current players, and their combine performances, and they had a nice little edit with them all and how they're doing now as a Panther and whatnot. Not once did you see Cam Newton, which, by the way, in my opinion, out of anybody on our team, had one of the best combines. But they did show Trai Turner. Like, that's a weird thing to do, and I know the social media may not have a lot to do with the back end, back of the house stuff. But that seems odd to me that you've made a decision.
Actually, they control all of it.
Trai Turner was fast for a lineman.
Yeah,
but he still brags about that time he ran almost stride for stride with McCaffrey.
Yeah, well, you take that out of the equation, right? If you're actually shopping him, why in the heck are you putting that stuff on social media? But if you're actually saying the words like, our plan is to keep Cam next year, well, you had an opportunity to show one of the most incredible, athletically gifted players in the combine do their highlights, and you chose to go with just DJ Moore, Christian McCaffrey, Trai Turner.
He's so defensive.
I don't think we're calling anybody about anybody. I think we just put it out there that if you,
I kind of wonder this:
we'll listen.
If you were Sean Payton, if you were Bill Belichick, would you not just? I would put out all of these stories. I'd be like, if I was the Saints, I'd be like, yeah, I heard the Panthers are shopping Cam Newton, Christian McCaffrey, everybody. Nobody loves them. They're fucking like.
That's
are
all
these
part of that chicken and that? It's all part of that chicken game. Like,
yeah,
Brady and the Patriots are doing it right now. Bruce Arians and Winston been doing it all off season. I mean, Arians fucking said Winston can't see.
He couldn't. He had to get LASIK. He had to get LASIK. All right. Let's get the fuck out of here.
That's all part of playing that game.
All right, we've talked about everything. Is there anything else you guys need to say before we go?
No.
I mean, we're going to do our ice up picks. We're going to do our ice up picks, but is there any other content you need?
Sucks. That's all I got to say.
Damn.
Justin Herbert sucks.
Oh, man.
All right. All right, let's go to the ice up picks then. Who wants to start tonight? Who brought one that they're feeling vigorous about?
I'm just gonna go first, dude. I had like 2 others picked, but Joe Biden just did a press conference and he called his wife his sister. That just happened.
Freudian slip.
There's a video. And he looks at his wife first, then turns to the crowd, and then later mistakes them. So
he also he was doing the interview. I just saw the headline for it. I didn't read it or watch the video, but the who's the guy? He's actually pretty good for Fox. He's like the one Fox dude who will not just fucking sink a fat
somebody.
But won't be a sycophant to everything. And he called him like Craig or something. He's like, my name's Chris, bitch. You know what I'm saying? All right. Joe Biden is old. Uncle Joe is old and drunk. Let him go, folks. Who's next?
Creepy Uncle Joe.
I'll go.
All right, go, T-Man.
I'll say ice up to the Hornets, who tonight lost to the Spurs, who are not that good this year. And Pop wasn't even coaching. They lost to Dreadhead Tim Duncan.
Dreadhead Tim Duncan has
Tim
dreads?
Duncan's a legend, though.
Yes, Tim Duncan has dreads now.
What?
Would that happen?
Yeah.
What?
His first game ever coaching, and they blew the game and lost.
I have to Google Tim Duncan. All right, who's next? Tim Tucker dreads is what I'm Googling.
Good.
I'll go. All right, I'm gonna go with James Dolan of the Knicks. My goodness. I mean, you have one of the most notorious fans there, and Spike Lee, and he comes into the entrance, and security comes up to him, and he's already scanned his ticket, and they're telling him he can't go up the elevator and this and that, and I mean, this guy James Dolan, I mean, he's throwing kids out of games for starting to chant to sell the team. I mean, this guy's one of the worst owners in the NBA. And since he's took over the Knicks, ice up, Dolan. Come on.
Yeah, you might as well ice up.
Sell the team and ice up and get out of town.
You might as well ice up the Knicks for being the fucking one of the most valuable franchises in the world, and they're terrible. How?
I don't know where they're at. Yeah.
It just doesn't make any sense. Like, that's my thing is I have not seen a Knicks team that has been good since Patrick Ewing. And who was that guy? Who was the guy that was fucking deadly? As a Sprewell. I used to love
Sprewell. Yeah. That was the last time I seen the Knicks ever win.
Yeah, and they still weren't even that good then.
No.
All right.
That was when they had Latrell and Allen Houston.
Yep. Yeah. All right. CK, you got anything?
Yeah, I'm gonna do something we kind of mentioned earlier. The whole Garth Brooks in Detroit. My God, man!
This shit was so terrible.
We're really on the national stage. Even on the global stage, we are definitely not making ourselves look very good as a country. Listen, one of the most
Americans are so uninformed.
Area.
We're so uninformed.
Oh,
that's
yeah.
the problem.
Oh let me. I'll challenge that. We're misinformed. Okay. I would say people are
about Barry
informed.
Sanders, though.
No, what I mean is people go. So what happens is somebody snaps a picture of it, says what they see, and then 10,000 people share it. And then all of a sudden, these people who have no idea who Barry Sanders is, all of a sudden now thinks that he's supporting Bernie Sanders as a country singer. Again, obviously the dude's not that
Barry Sanders? Why would Bernie Sanders have a football jersey? But okay, keep going. Sorry.
Yeah, no, but I mean to have an entire.
I thought it was custom made.
Yeah, I mean to have these. I'm exhausted with this. I don't even know. I'm done. Just somebody else go. I'm over. All
right. So Cody,
anybody who thought that was a.
Oh yeah, as the guest on the show, I'm personally invested now. Do you have internet yet?
Oh yeah, I was going to ask you that earlier.
I do not.
Exactly. Like as fans, we're personally invested now. Like
I know we're what? We all need to write Cox Communication and support. That's what we need to do.
I got the head engineer's number, and I was messaging him today. I was texting him, and he said, "You have my word. I'm going to take care of you." I'm assuming that means get me internet, but I don't know about a reach around, but that'd be
weird. When I listen to CK's Ice Up, I think about Cody, who sent a message to us earlier this week and said my Ice Up was going to be the 38% of Americans who were scared to drink Corona beer because of the coronavirus. All right. Greg, you haven't gone. Have you gone yet? Oh God, we can't hear Greg.
No, we can't. Hear
never fucking. I tell you this is that what's up with Greg's fucking internet, man? All right,
man, that is annoying. There needs to be a betting line over and over how many times
his mic comes out or something.
Yeah, how many times Greg will be talking. And
all right.
Say anything at all.
He's like, please listen to me, guys. I love you. All right, did you ice up anybody, or is it my turn?
Yeah, I'll do the third basketball ice up on a football podcast, and I'm gonna ice up James Harden. I can't stand James Harden. I don't like the guy at all. And if you keep it with basketball, he's got a
poor Greg.
He was going to talk about.
In the middle of his statement. Oh my gosh.
All right. Let me
Is the
go.
audio dropping in?
Yes.
You can't make this shit up, dude.
James Harden dissed Giannis because Giannis said he wasn't nothing but 7-footed can dunk.
We got. All right. Let's see if we can get him back.
now I think y'all are just messing with me.
No,
we can hear you now.
Tony's cutting me off. He's like, "Watch this."
he's got a little mute button.
I'm gonna buy you a new computer, bro.
Just to finish it up real quick, James Harden iced up, man. He was telling Giannis, Giannis said he couldn't pass, and he was like, "Oh well, I wish I could be 7 feet and just dunk and have no skill." Dude, shut up, James Harden, man. If somebody looks at you the wrong way, you get a foul called. I could score 25 points a game if I took 23 free throws. Like, it's insane, man. I can't
know who
stand
Giannis
James
picked
Harden
over James Harden, right?
Yeah, I know, and that. But
Kimba
I mean,
never
Man,
passes.
but
Kimba ain't never
James
passes.
I know, but
Kimba ain't never had 10 assists in a season ever.
yeah.
Harden.
Hey, I changed my
Harden
ice
is
up
just
to
a sick-
LeBron James with the world's worst.
Oh, that travel. Oh my god. Travel. All right, so ice up James Harden. My ice up pick goes to you coronavirus panickers. I'm going to Italy, and I say fuck all y'all that are scared to change your lives, like my mom. And then I just said that to my mother. That's messed up. My mother was like, "You're taking your kids there? You're not canceling?" No, fuck that. I am not paralyzed by fear by this media hype of all this bullshit. But the media.
You're gonna get over there and see like bodies being burned in the streets and stuff.
Right. This is what I'm gonna go. Yeah, this is what I'm gonna say.
According to most people, just take some Lysol. You're good.
Dude, I'm gonna get over to Italy, and guess what I'm gonna have? No fucking lines at the museums, and no fucking waits. No way.
Yeah, take a few Coronas just to be
Peroni. They drink the Peroni, brother. We are not gonna have waits for the fucking restaurants, and no need to book ahead for vineyard tours. Bitches, the Dunn family is coming to wreck Italy. Coronavirus, watch out for us. We're coming to have a beast of a time. I'm not scared to live my life. Ice up to you fearmongers. The news.
Tony, you should look up the stat that the news never says. They always talk about the number of people infected and killed, but they also never give you the stat of the number of people that are infected and survive. It's
it's like 99%.
Mind-boggling.
Yeah. It's like fuck that. I'm like ready. I haven't told everybody. I told the guy on Delta. This is the guy. The guy was like,
Panthers fan though. You could always be that 1%.
True. Anybody could be, but you got a better chance of dying from the flu at home than you do from. I mean, you do. You got a better chance of dying from the flu in America than you do from
every death for corona. My main fear is getting stuck there, and I told my kids. My son is worried. He's like, "What if we get stuck there?" I said, "Man, if we get stuck there, we're selling our house and we're staying. Fuck it." All right.
Find one of those country or one of those towns where they'll give you $20,000 to move there.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. That's right. I'm gonna be your English teacher. My name's Tony Dunn. It's the C3 Panthers podcast brought to you by Carolina Cat Chronicles, CarolinaCatChronicles.com. We're here on Tuesday nights. We run from 9 p.m. to obviously 12:01 a.m. right now. It's fucking crazy how much we can talk about the Carolina Panthers. The number is 252-228-1598. Let's go ahead and get our plugs in. The Bat Daddy, the Stat Daddy. Tell us about your podcast and where they can reach you.
You can find me at the Bat Daddy 52 on Twitter, or you can contact me at SCS Podcast 1 on Twitter. That's the handle for my other podcast, Super Civil Servants Podcast. We talk about movies, comic books, different forms of literature, television shows, all that good stuff. This week's episode, I don't know what happened, but the whole episode didn't get recorded. I had about a minute and a half of intro and then about 2 hours of white noise. So what I did was I compiled a greatest hits episode or a bloopers episode. It's about an hour long of all the stuff we've done for the first 40 episodes we've been together and put that out this week. So check it out.
Did anybody hear?
You're on there too, by the way. Did y'all really not hear me?
No, I wanted to scare him. I wanted to scare him. All right. T-Money1993, how can they find you on Twitter?
Twitter is Mr. T-Money1993, same as the YouTube channel. I just did my second mock draft for the Panthers, where, I don't know, some kind of way, both drafts I got Tua. And what else am I doing on there? I'm doing gaming stuff right now, where I'm trying to have a team with everybody who went to college in North Carolina and win a championship with the Hornets. So if that interests you, tune into that.
All right on. Cody, tell us about Draft Tech and where they can follow you on Twitter.
Follow me on Twitter at CodyLac, CodyLac. There will be a brand new mock draft tomorrow on drafttech.com with comments for the first and second rounds of the Carolina Panthers. Check it out.
Brad Dugan, new to Twitter. You better get your ass a picture. If you don't put a picture on that fucking Twitter handle, man, anything other than that egghead. You're an egghead is what we used to call you guys 7 years ago. Now it's a blank head. Brad Dugan, what's your Twitter handle?
Hey, at Brad06598740.
Holy shit! It's like that.
Mine was long.
I'm still. Hey, I'm still.
Now you beat me to it.
876-5409. 876-5409. All right.
Not even a year in on scam likely Twitter handle.
Yeah, put a picture.
Still learning. I'm still learning how to use it.
Put a picture on it. We'll help you out. CK, man with no internet, juices his fucking hotspot to death.
Oh yeah, I'm pretty sure my cell phone provider is about to just call me and buy out my contract. I wanted to bring up another topic for us to talk about for another 30 minutes. Is that cool, Tony?
Yes. No, it's not. I'm going to fuck.
No, you can find me at CodeDizzle Allen on Twitter, pretty much everywhere. Once I get internet, I'll be back online. Another shameless plug to go along with Cody's is we plan on, I think this Thursday, actually starting this whole segment for the draft prospects and whatnot. So be looking out for that. Yeah, hey guys.
All right.
Rest of your evening.
Yeah.
Or morning.
And also news: there may not be a show next week for the first time in 7 years. I'm in Italy, so unless I can figure out a way, we might have Cody and the guys record it and then we post it afterwards. I don't think there's going to be a live show unless we can figure out how to do it, and I just feel like it's going to be too complicated in the back end. But if anyway, we'll get you some content at the very minimum.
Did you almost say it, Greg? Did you almost say it, Greg?
I almost said it. Yeah. Tommy said it's gonna be too uncomfortable in the back end. And I was like,
that's what she said.
That's what she said. And we'll see you. Maybe not next Tuesday, but the following week, and maybe we'll drop some content. What we'll do is hopefully these guys can drop some content as our Tuesday night, and if not, they can record something and we'll post it after. Not live, but maybe live. Who knows? Watch out. Subscribe. iTunes, TuneIn, Stitcher, C3 Panthers Podcast. Just Google it. It's the best. See you guys later.
Keep pounding.
Adios. All right. We are off the air.
Yeah.
Can we go to bed?
Tony, message. I think we can figure out a way for me to run the show live. We just have to do some figuring out before we do it.
Well, we got to do it tomorrow then.
Italy has internet.
All right. Tomorrow night, Cody, if you got time, tomorrow night is the only time I'm going to have to work it out with you.
Looking for a fun way to win up to 25 times your money this basketball season? Test your skills on Prize Picks, the most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Just select 2 or more players, pick more or less on their projected stats, and place your entry. You can turn $10 into $250. Right now, Prize Picks will match your first deposit up to $100. Just visit prizepicks.com/fan and use code FAN. That's code FAN at prizepicks.com/fan.
Must be present in certain states. Visit prizepicks.com for restrictions and details. Not all bread is created equal. And if you like yours soft, fluffy, moist, and delicious, then Hero Bread and Buns should be your first choice. But Hero Bread isn't just about taste and texture. It's high in fiber with ultra-low net carbs with 0 grams of sugar. Order today at hero.co and use the code AH10 to get 10% off your first purchase. That's AH10 at hero.co, HERO.co for 10% off your first purchase.